once the changes come through, which I do believe, a large majority of them will come through, your aspect will be a must. So you might as well work on it now. Now, a lot of you are probably asking, well, what aspect should I choose as a PvPer? Well, lyric aspect isn't ideal, that's for sure. But as a Dexer, you basically have a lot of options. Scully there, I think, is using water. I think that's a great option. It's going to increase your potion effects and your bandage effects. So when you're running into a dungeon, not only do you get all the damage mitigation from the base, the armor that's on most aspects, you're also getting all those extra benefits while you're running in. Earth as well. I don't know if you guys seen Captain Donut around. He kills shit, constantly clearing spawn, helping all the PvPers out in the dungeons when everyone's dying after the fight. He's rocking Earth as a Dexer. I would not recommend using any other aspect but Void if you have any sort of magery or you use mana. So if you're using any magery or if you have any use for spells, then you just have to go with Void or War Aspect, which cannot be farmed for PVM wise. As you guys probably know, if you plan on going with War Aspect, which you can research it, it's a pretty good aspect, but you have to basically raise the levels by only doing PvP events, which, that might be your thing. So I would suggest doing War Aspect if you don't want a PVM at all. But those are your options. I mean, you can go through the aspect tab. You can basically read up as to what every aspect does. I would treat that as a priority before you do any PvPing at all. That's first and foremost. And moving along, I would also recommend that everyone looks into their weapon codex as a Dexer. Because if you have a Mason codex, or you have an archery codex, or a fencing codex, or swords codex, there's a stance in there called defensive stance. Now, if you look at the damage mitigation from defensive stance all the way up at the top tier, it's pretty crazy. It's nuts. Let's take a look here. So, let me put all this shit on. Thanks for killing me, by the way, again. That's perfect demonstration. All right, so I got the fencing codex here. Almost max defensive, so at 15 more points. And full damage resistance to all enemies by 4% per rank. So what do we got here? 7. It's just under 30% damage resistance, guys. All right, no more of that. I gotta turn my game sound down here. Hold on. There's no reason for any of this though. You don't have to be constantly shooting. Slook. All right, so yeah, that's just under 30% damage resistance. So you don't just get that all the time. You actually have to hit a monster and then you gain it for like 5 seconds. I could be wrong, but it's a really short period. So if you ever see me running through a dungeon, running right up to a monster and hitting it, it's because for the next monsters I encounter, I basically want it to do no damage, which is pretty helpful, especially when you're running through SSC. So with that alone, it's another tool you can have to just run through the dungeon with the aspect to reduce those crazy splash damage attacks, those special hits that you really have no chance of dodging, short of obviously rope and teleporting. But even I mess that up constantly. So that's another really important thing to work towards. And if you're a mage, obviously, there's a wrestling codex, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you'd have to use like a martial manual for that. Am I wrong? Like that wouldn't really apply. You can't just bare fist and get wrestling.
Yeah, you need a
codex,
martial manual.
Okay, so I don't. Sure, you can really do that if you want to swap into a martial manual on your way in. But for a mage, I would say most importantly, you want to get a grimoire. The Grimoire looks pretty OP within the new patch that's coming out. I don't know how much of those changes are going to be there, but they have buffs to protection, buffs to reactive armor. The buffs to protection actually work on your followers as well. So if you have an Earth Elemental, it's just going to be more tanky, way more damage mitigation for you. I think reactive armor also gives you extreme amounts of damage mitigation. It looks OP, to be honest. But while you're training all your aspect skills, your aspect experience, your grimoire, you might as well be training your grimoire as well. On this character, I only have 14 points, and that's just minimal PVMing. I mean, I'm just joining groups and tagging along and tagging mobs. You don't have to kill the whole monster yourself. There's a big alliance, and there's always hunting parties that are very generous, and they'd be more than willing to actually help you out and get that aspect built up. Because what are you doing ultimately? You're defending them, you're defending their farm, right? We're, fighting towards a good cause to help our friends out when they need help. We don't want the Reds to just do whatever they want. Granted, we want the Reds, it's part of the shard, but we got to keep them in check sometimes. So, like I said, lots of people are willing to help you out. So don't be shy to ask. I myself, I'm always shouting out invites in Alliance chat. I have a summoner, tier 14 void. I got all the bells and whistles when it comes to a tanky earth elemental, and I can get that aspect up real quick. Anyone's welcome to come at any time, and I do that at all times of the day. Now that I'm off for work, I got 2 months off in the winter time, so these next 2 months I'm even more available. So I have fun doing it. It's not a big deal to me. I think the more the merrier. As the last topic for the PVM side would be the chain, which you're actually gaining experience with your mastery chain no matter what, even if you don't have a chain. So this one's not really that important until you can afford links and you have links unlocked. This can probably go on for quite a while since you're gonna have to do a lot of PVMing to even unlock links. So once you get to that stage, then you can probably afford the investment of 185k for the mastery chain, but I would not worry too much about it. But that is something you ideally want. I'll just give you guys a little glance at mine here. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but your PVMer account, the character that you have all of your, experience farming on, that chain experience is shared account wide. So if you created a PvPer on that account, say you have 19 links, which my bard had 19 links, I created this character on this account, got her a chain, and I automatically have 19 links unlocked. And I just had to purchase the links, bronze links. Obviously, you don't want to break your bank. I don't know, maybe you're rich, but you go damage resistance, physical damage resistance, spell damage resistance. These are all things that are adding on to all that mitigation from the grimoire, from your defensive stance, from your void or your aspect, and it's all still going to be active against monsters in PvP after the patch. So you could virtually walk through a gargoyle after the patch during a fight, and it could tickle you. It's ridiculous. And even before the patch, like running into the dungeon, as I said, this is still worth it just to work towards already right away. So that's why this PVM portion is the most important part of the PvP lesson. What's that? Are you guys having trouble hearing me? Is that
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you fine. Queen's giving a little bit of feedback though.
Okay, if you could mute your mic to stop that stuff there, that's cool. Thanks a lot, man. So yeah, that's the PVM portion. Now there is a to-do list for this one. This is a complete to-do list. I don't think I'm going to be adding anything to it. I would suggest you guys write this stuff down. It's just 4 points, so write it in a notepad right now, write it on a piece of paper, write it in your journal. Number 1, unlock an aspect, void if you're a mage or have magery. Number 2 is obtain a codex. Whether it be fencing, swords, you name it. Whatever your weapon skill is, and like I said, that wrestling thing, that can be used. I mean, you can still get the defensive stance, but you'd have to swap to using your your martial manual there. And then number 3, obtain a wizard's grimoire. Obviously, only if you're using magery. Any amount of magery. It doesn't have to be GM mage. Some dexters have 40 magery, 60 magery. You need that grimoire even more than a pure mage would.
Without
Actually, no,
AT vet?
no, you're right. No, I cancel what I just said. That's not true. You actually need to have 80 magery and 80 evolent to use the grimoire. So cancel what I just said. That is not true. That's a change they just recently made.
It's and or, right? 80 magery and 80 med or eval.
Yeah, correct. 80,
Yeah.
80 magery and 80 evolent or 80 med. You're right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. My fault there. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, so obtain a wizard's grimoire if you meet those 2 requirements. And then number 4 is purchase / bless a rune tome. Insert all dungeon entries, first gates, destination to an easy to access POI library, and a rune to your guild house. So I'm going to go into that in detail later on. That's near the end, towards the end, for people that need help with all that in detail, which we will do and go through. But this is just your to-do list, so that if you don't need to go through all that in detail, you can do it later on your own time. Just know that it's extremely important. We are lacking people that have the proper rune tomes available on their PvPers. And of course, it is an investment. So at your own pace, guys. This is not, no one's pressuring you. We have a lot of people here. We're just trying to steer you in the right direction. So that's the lesson there for the first chapter. Regarding all of that, except for the details about where the runes are and what the rune tome should look like, do you guys have any questions?
No, man, you're doing awesome.
Cool. So yeah, that's just the PVM side. And let's kill some monsters sometimes. You know, there's a lot of downtime in between the callouts, right? So now moving on to chapter 2, it's going to get a little more detailed. I feel like the most important thing in combat is making sure the guy next to you stays alive, because that's just double the damage, right? But
Yep.
we need to focus on, you know, making it easy to target your friends. So, or blues. I mean, I scroll through greens or blues. Now, in a lot of cases with events, you will be asked to pull bars. You know, these are organized events, large battles. Usually, they all have mages on both sides. There's calling going on. In that situation, you know, having bars setting your target is quicker than scrolling through dozens of enemies, because you'll never get there in time for you to be on sync with the call. So this does not apply for that. But that's something else you would just want to learn. It's basically you're just pulling bars and you're setting your last target. It's just more of a direct way to do it. But for callouts, it's not planned. They're chaotic, and there's simply no time to pull a bar when someone needs a heal. So what I use to get to the target quickly is next friendly target. So when you guys can follow along with me here too if you want to open up your game. I'll give you guys time to do that. You might as well open up your Razor and just follow along. We'll go through the whole thing. As soon as you get into your Razor there, you're going to want to go to the Hotkeys tab. And all the way down at the bottom, you're going to click on Targets. So you get all the different types of targets. Friendly target is where you'd want to expand. So you click that little plus sign. I'm just going to pause here for a second, guys. Before we go any further, go to General. And if it is just a generic profile, you don't want that. You want to create a new profile, and you're creating this for the character that the Razor is for. So name it the name of that character.
Can I interject really quick?
Sure.
One way to do this is that I would highly recommend having a different profile for every character. I know it sounds like a lot, but you can hit clone, and you can clone that into a new one. So right now he's on Skewer Official. He hits clone. and makes it skewer number 2, then most of your stuff transfers over.
So if they already have it as a generic profile, they can just hit clone and then rename it.
I'm not sure about that.
That's correct.
Because it should say default, right? That's the one. If you haven't created one, it'll say default.
Default is what
I don't
I'm
know
worried
about doing that, but yeah, if you already have one, you can make clones of multiples.
Yeah, I can confirm that. You can clone the default profile
Okay, awesome.
into a name one.
Yep.
Okay, so if you can clone your default profile, even better. So clone it, name it something official. That way, you're good to go. Now, something we're not going to cover is you should back that file up in the Razor folder. I don't have that in the lesson. Maybe make a note that you should do that because shit happens and one day you might log in and not have any of your hotkeys.
Yeah, a good failsafe is just hitting that save button.
Even
you
there,
could worry about finding it later, but just hit save every once in a little while.
Even then, hitting save, I've lost all my stuff before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Who knows? I don't know. That's just my luck.
On the tab Advanced, there's a very handy Create Backup button.
Right. Yep.
Oh, nice. Okay, so yeah, we'll just leave that up to you guys. It's not PvP related. That's just responsibility things. Okay, so back to the hotkeys. Where were we? Back down to targeting. So yeah, go to hotkeys. Go down to targets. Expand it. Friendly targets is where we want to be right now. Next friendly monster target. I've never used that, so let's ignore it. I mean, maybe for healing your friend's monsters. I don't know.
That's for different shards.
Yeah.
Okay, so next friendly player target. That's the money right there. So, when you're scrolling through targets, I find it's quickest to use your wheel. But sometimes quick is not necessarily the best because you might overshoot it.
Mm-hmm.
So I use my wheel for scrolling through targets that are friendly, and we'll cover this later on, for enemy targets, I use my keys because then I don't overshoot my target. So I would recommend using the scroll wheel. You can use any of your control, your alt, or your shift as hold down buttons, so you're not accidentally scrolling through a friendly target by mistake. And it's pretty easy to hold down control and just mouse wheel down. So if you try that, either control, alt, or shift plus mouse wheel down, let's see if you're comfortable with that. Does anyone already have that set as a hotkey?
Yeah, I do.
Control mouse wheel down?
Yeah, I use it for targeting reds.
Just the mouse wheel you use, right? No control?
I use control.
Control.
I use control mouse wheel for targeting reds.
Okay, do you use anything control mouse wheel up?
Yeah, just scroll the other way. Next and previous.
Okay, so do you have a friendly target hotkey?
Shift.
You can go shift.
Yep.
Yeah, go shift mouse wheel down. Shift
I
mouse wheel up.
I have my regular mouse wheel for monsters, control for friendly, and shift for reds.
So you have a friendly scrolling hotkey?
Yep, and then both up and down.
Oh, then you're good.
Yeah, I got that too.
If you guys already have this stuff, that's great. This is more for the people that don't have it. And we are going to cover a lot of things that you probably already know. But yeah, this is definitely a huge. Is anyone having trouble creating this so far? Was that a yeah?
Maybe share your razor again so he could see exactly where it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, just give me one sec.
Yeah, go to options.
Use.
Targeting and queues. And those two bottom left
Should be
ones.
checked by default.
I think they are checked by default, but
what is this? Set you? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Is everything checked? Is everything working now? Does that work? Does it look like this? Does your screen look like mine?
Yeah, now it still just doesn't work.
Okay, so what part of it's not working? Like, does the hotkey just doesn't do anything? Or are you seeing some sort of indication that you're scrolling through targets?
No one does nothing.
Okay, so the hotkey's not working.
It's a hotkey.
So go when you set your hotkey, you have to make sure that you're setting your hotkey and then click set.
Yeah.
And that like saves it. If you don't click set, it might not save it. So then you don't have a hotkey.
Yeah, I have done that.
So now we're at next friendly player target.
No, fuck. Never mind. I'm using the macro on
the right.
Sure.
All right, got to figure it out. All right.
Hey man, I did it too. Don't worry. That's perfect. I'm glad you said something and you didn't just suffer in silence because it's very important. It's probably one of the most important things. That's why it's at the top. So it's working now?
Yeah, just keep going. I'll do it on the char I'm here with now.
I'm waiting for you, man. There's no way I'm gonna keep
that
going.
shit all day.
Yeah.
I'm like hitting a script on my one count, and I'm like, why is it? Oh, whoops. PVM sitting in the dungeon.
Yeah, make sure you're using your right razor for your right character.
Yeah, I was using it on my alt, which is logged somewhere else.
Yeah, I do that like 5 times a day. It's all good.
All the time.
You're all just targeting like everybody around.
yeah, basically. I'm fucking going.
Yeah, he's probably dead somewhere now. No worries.
Just targeting and attacking last target,
yeah. So yeah, I think that everyone's good with just scrolling through friendly targets. Great. The next one is going to be the enemy target. So like I said, you can do mouse wheel if you want. I struggle with the mouse wheel because it's just a little more intense for me, and I don't know, maybe I'm a little too pumped up. So for me, I use tab, which I don't recommend doing because it's not easy to do that. Only Cookie knows how to get that to work. Sorry, just give me a second here. Let me just collapse some of these. So non-friendly targets is where we're going to be going next. So actually, no, that's not where we're going next. We're going to start with murderer targets. Keep it simple. So next murderer player, that's just reds. So that's usually a pretty small percentage of the players on screen unless you're getting raided or zerged. So I keep it pretty quick. I hit tab. It's going to get me the closest red to me or the next red, that's near within my range that I can see on the screen. It's pretty straightforward. Just make sure that it's a button that's easy to press or make it your mouse wheel. Same as the next friendly. Set it up. Make sure that your profile's in the right character. Do we have any murderers here? Where's Rohan? Or Royman? Royman. Is Royman red?
I think so. Here, I'll go get mine.
Yeah, let's get a red on here just to ensure that everyone can bring 2 reds, even better. Oh, and if you're trying to copy mine, tab, if you press tab, it's bringing you to another button on the screen. So you'd have to go into the code. I don't know how to do it. I was helped with that, but you can pick any key really.
Oh, you know what? I'm not red anymore.
Damn.
Just by a couple hours.
Hey, come here and kill somebody. We'll make you red.
Do we have at least 1 red here, though? One red?
We're all good boys.
I got a red.
You got a red?
I think so, that I haven't played in like over a year. All right, give me 1 second.
Could anyone possibly pop me a ship gate or something so I can get back? Sorry, I gotta head out.
No worries. I'm sure someone's got you. Anyone able to gate?
No mages?
I can gate. I can gate.
I can get back on Joe too and gate some stuff.
There you go. Gates up.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, we got a red here. Can everyone target him? Did everyone make that next murder player target hotkey that's on the screen now? Is anyone not targeting the red? Anyone need help? Cool. All right. So now we can target greens, blues, reds. We know what to do when we see them. Non-friendly targets includes grays, which I don't typically want to just have one hotkey for reds or grays. If I'm seeing a pack of reds and grays, I don't even care about the grays until the reds are dead. And I really want to be clear about that. There's too many people attacking the grays before the reds are dead. I know it's tempting. I know they're cross healing being a pain in the ass, but they cannot do damage onto you without taking account, and they most likely won't.
Correct.
But as soon as you attack them, they have free reign to attack you, do as much damage, and you can turn a 4v2 into a 4v4 very easily. And there's just no point unless you want to fair fight. So
I 100% agree.
Yeah, I want to get things cleaned and get taken care of, and I want to, have that enjoyment of seeing the reds die first, and then we'll kill the grays. So for that reason,
does it also apply to gray healers?
What's that?
Does it also apply to gray healers?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I totally agree with Potato, because when they go gray, unless they're attacking you, which most of the time they won't attack you. They're just gonna heal their red buddies. If you start attacking them, then they're gonna pile on you. And they don't want to go red.
And this goes the same for dishonored people too. So while you're, looking at the overheads, if they're dishonored, they're gonna try to get you to attack them so they can get back in the fight. But you already killed them, so let them just suffer because they can't do shit. They're just running around trying to body block you. But yeah, that's another topic. But for now, let's go ahead and create the next non-friendly player target, which for mine is control Ometil. Is that how you say that?
I have a hard time saying that too.
Yeah, it's the little button above tab. So
man, I love that key.
That's a great key.
Nobody really uses it for anything else but next friendly target. That's what I hear. So, or non-friendly target. So that's where it is. For me, I think that's the best place for it. But
so Potato, really quick, that non-friendly player target, that'll cycle through reds and grays, right?
Correct. Yes, awesome. Reds and grays, all of it. I don't really feel like you need one for just grays. That's just a little bit of a stretch for me. Mm-hmm. But if you want to have more diversity, that's fine. But on a note, like to stack on the last one about not being able to use the tab, that Ometil key, you can use that in a lot of variations. You can go Control Ometil for the non-friendly, or Alt Ometil for non-friendly monster, which you can see I have here, which is great for PvP when you have to deal with pets. You can paralyze the pet, you can poison the pet. You can dispel their summons. Those are going to show up as monsters as well. So those are two keys that are very good to have. And it cycles through red or gray, guys. So non-friendly player target and non-friendly monster target. I would make those both Ometil because they're close to each other. They're going to be needed in the same situations. And then for reds, I would say just Ometil. No tab, no control.
That's what I have, yep.
Then you're good. Then you don't have to worry about the tab thing. I was a little worried about the tab thing. I think the Ometil is the way to go for that. I can go gray.
If I may, the downside with that if you use the tilt control, is that it's really easy to use to accidentally press Control Tab or Alt Tab, and you don't want that in the middle of a fight.
Well, you don't do that. As soon as you highlight any of those targets that we went through just now, all it has to be is on that target, and this hotkey of attack last combatant will attack that highlighted target. So it's not in any of these sub categories here. I've got to, oops. What happened to my thing? Oh, okay.
You can just type it up and filter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, up in here.
Left. Yep,
Oh,
right
yeah,
there.
okay.
Yep.
Attack. Yeah, there it is. Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, that's perfect. Nice. I should have listed you in the first place there. No, yeah, you're right. That's perfect. I didn't realize it was that efficient. Okay, cool. So mine's just mouse wheel up. I mean, that could interfere with a lot of what you guys are doing. But that's what's easiest for me. I'm not too picky on this. It just needs to be something that's easy to hit. So like I said, this is what's going to get you to swing if you're a Dexer. If you're just highlighting the target and you don't hit this button, you're just going to be standing next to him. There's not going to be any attacking going on. So you have to highlight the target as a Dexer, attack last combatant, and you'll start swinging. Same with a mage, you'll start wrestling if you're within melee range. So, and it's going to flag you, of course. It's going to knock out all your aspects. It's going to initiate the PvP. So I'll leave that guy up to you. We're going to test it out. It works on the friendly targets, the non-friendly, the reds. Try it out. We got grays and greens and reds here. Make sure that it shows that title above your head. You are attacking that player.
Can I add something to that? And I
Sure.
might be jumping ahead. But talking about when you rope, if you're closing in on a target, do not attack. Is for a Dexer mainly. If you're chasing after a red, if there's a call out and you hop in the dungeon, you see him and you're like, okay, I'm like 12 tiles away. Do not attack them. Make sure you rope first, because you could rope about every 3 seconds to get even ahead of them and then attack them. Because if you attack first, you only get 1 rope every 2 minutes or so.
And that's very important, so it's worth mentioning now and later, because we are going to get to that too.
Yeah, sorry, I figured you were, but
no, I'm glad you brought that up, because as soon as you see the red, it's not time to attack. I know I kind of made it sound like that. There's a time and a place to attack, and especially if you're clearly outnumbered and you're near a gate. I mean, that's obvious, but I know panic happens, and myself, I was just trying to kill a minion. I didn't even want to fight face at the Omni last night, and just out of instincts, I attacked them, and I was locked in the Omni, and I instantly died. But yeah, you gotta make sure that you use this at the right time. But you do have to use it at some point. It's the quickest way to hammy a player. As soon as they get next to you, you hit that key, and you have a very high chance of hamming them if you have hamstring or disarming them. Huge for cuts. Does anyone not have this, or if it's not working, let me know now. So you just scroll, you set that hotkey, scroll to your target, and hit that attack last combatant hotkey.
yeah, you can practice on my red right here. Just cycle to him and do attack last combatant, and it should say you don't need to physically go up and attack. It should just say you're now attacking so and so. Yeah, awesome. I'm seeing tons of it. Cool.
Amazing.
Yep, perfect. I'm getting attacked by everybody.
Awesome. So, last target.
Oh, yeah, I think Clear is right. Attack last target, not attack last combatant.
For me,
or does combatant work?
For me, combatant works. And
oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, last target doesn't work.
Last target does not work for me.
You got to use combatant.
So what Clear is saying is he's talking about the bar pulling stuff about in the events. We started off with that. There's 2 different ways to PvP. If you're in a planned event and there's a lot of numbers on each side, and you have everyone's bar up. This is a planned event. You're in like a town struggle. You just have everyone's bar. Your side, their side. In that case, you want to have like a set last target button. You set the target by clicking on their bar, and then I'm sure in that situation you'd have the last target to release your spells. We're going to get to that, but that's a different style altogether. it's not generally efficient at callouts just because of the sheer chaos in callouts. Things happen very, very fast. But for Dexers, attack class combatant, I think, is really the way to go.
So I've only used attack last target on Antidote.
Let me just see here.
So it definitely works.
Attack
And
last
I've
target.
never.
I don't even have it assigned, so if it works, it works.
I guess both work. Both of them work.
Yeah.
Either or.
But this should not be confused about our next one, which is last target, which is another very important one. So this is essentially for casting, and it's all the way at the bottom of the target's tab. So it's at the very bottom. Oh, sorry, that's not it. That's not even it. My bad. That was target self. So I'm sorry. All right. So last target, type it into the filter. No more looking through the list. Here we are. Last target. For me, it's alt wheel up. Now, I don't know if anyone's ever watched Blacklist's stream. I watched him for quite a while, because we had a lot of fights in game, and I would only watch his what's it called, those VODs at the end, because I want to see kind of outside the box of what it looked like and see how I could have improved. I did terrible every time, but it's a great way to learn and review how it worked. But I always kind of wondered what that wheel sound was in his game that he's constantly spinning whenever he's casting spells. I finally figured it out and why he's doing it. And it's very important because when you're casting a spell, rather than timing, once that spell is done casting, the last target. So once the spell is done casting, you're going to have a target up, and whatever character you have highlighted, if you press that button, it's going to send the spell to that player.
Yep.
Okay, so as soon as you initiate that button, the spell is going to release. So rather than timing it for you having to press the button as soon as the spell is done, you can scroll the mouse wheel constantly so you don't have to time it. It's going to release as soon as it's ready. So I'll just kind of give you an example. I know that was a little much. So I'm scrolling to... I got wrecked vision here, right? I'm casting Flame Strike, but while it's casting, I'm holding down Alt and I'm scrolling mouse wheel up constantly. I'm just rolling it because you can't spam it too much. So as soon as Flame Strike is done being cast, it's going to release on that target. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Right now, what you do have to be careful of is queuing up target self, which can happen from the bandage self, which we will get into. But yeah, it's just a side note. Another important thing to mention is it's very important to stay calm in PvP and not press buttons too many times just because you want them to work faster. It's very counterproductive. And trust me, I'm guilty of it. So let's try that out, actually. It really doesn't matter what kind of target, red, gray, green. Why doesn't everyone just try to... What do we want to do? Cast a spell like... or not everyone here has Magery. Just try it. See if it works. Ask me if you need help, if there's something you're not getting.
Do you use the nameplates in PvP?
I do.
I should. I'm going to get into that, or I'm not. I'm going to enable it eventually. I've never actually had it. So with that whole system that I kind of developed there, with holding Alt and using your mouse wheel, it's also a great way to cross heal, which we will get into. But it's also the quickest way to cross heal, since you can, while you're healing, you can now scroll targets during the spell casting. So as soon as you see someone needing help, the first thing you shouldn't be doing is targeting them. You should be casting Greater Heal, and while it's casting, you want to be cycling through looking for that target. It's a huge time saver, and seconds do matter. But we're going to get into that more in the defensive portion. Now, to favor more what the Dexters are looking for here, I know there's a lot of mage stuff for the last little bit. We've got to talk about weapons. Now, this is going to go for mages and Dexters. If you are a tank mage and you have a melee weapon, you're going to need to know all about swing speed timers. I generally say there's 3 types, and I'm sure there's, if you really want to, there's a couple in between, but I'll just be easy with it, and I say there's a 3-second timer, there's a 2-second timer, there's a 1-second timer. 3-second timers are generally the heavy expos, the warhammers, the halberds, the bardiche, long spears, give or take a few milliseconds, but those are the weapons that you generally want to open up with. So if you have that equipped, and you're going after a target, you are doing the maximum amount of damage. But at the same time, your next hit, right, it can't come from a 3-second swing speed. You're going to get dumped on and you're going to die instantly. So you have to bring more than one weapon is the main point here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So it's fairly easy to get this started. It's as easy as going to macros. You start a new macro. You name it whatever you want. Call it, if you have a halberd. Hit OK. Make sure that you're in the right profile for your character. And then as that's highlighted at the bottom, you'll see that there. You hit record. And then you just right click back into your game. And you double click your burst weapon is what they call it. Your 2-handed heavy hitter. And then simply go back to your game or your macro. Sorry, I left clicked in there so you can remove that action from the recording. Now you have double click just a specific weapon. You want to right click this and go to convert to declick by type. This means that you don't have to reset this every time you get a new weapon in your backpack. Every time you have a long spear in your bag, this will work for it. If you have 2 long spears, 3, 4, 5 long spears, every time you click the hotkey that we're going to make for this macro, it's going to cycle through them. So it will double click one after the other, and if you have a Varite, a Valerite, and an Averite spear, you'll equip a Varite, a Valerite, and an Averite spear each time you click that. So after you made this, I hope everyone's on the same page. You have to go back to hotkeys, and we just simply have to create a hotkey for it. Now, I have a lot of buttons on the side of my mouse. This is one of the ones you'd want to use for it. But actually, no, I should take that back. If you don't have a lot of buttons on the mouse, don't use this for that. But you need to have. It needs to be easy to get to. Maybe 1, 2, 3, if that's comfortable with you guys. So yeah, you go to the macros in the hotkeys tab, the macros drop down. Sorry for my mess here. You find, I'm sure yours is a little bit cleaner. Find your halberd macro in the hotkey, and then you'll just want to create a hotkey for it. It could be 1. I wouldn't suggest putting an Alt or Shift or anything to it, but make sure it's easy. And that's the one you want to open up with. And then, of course, hit set. And that's your burst weapon. The first weapon you should always be opening up with. Does anyone not understand that? Cool. All right, so the next weapon, for me, it's the Warfork. For swords, mid axes, executioner axe, double axe. For maces, war mace, regular mace. The 2-second timers. I think this one's kind of optional. I would say you have to have at least a 1-second timer weapon and a 3-second timer. But if you have all 3, let me just kind of explain how this works. So my spear is my 3-second timer, my Warfork is my 2-second, and my Chris is my 1-second. So when I hit rect here,
Yeah, go for it.
once, I can immediately swap to my Chris and benefit from having the next swing take only 1 second after a massive hit like that. So essentially, I can hit burst, do max damage, and then interrupt quickly, faster than they can get a G heal off. So that's 2 damages before they can even recover. Essentially, you can miss, right? Of course. We'll get into that, what you do in that case. But if, say, I hit him, and then he gets out of my range, which they do, they normally try to kite you around so they don't get that other hit. If it's just 2 seconds before you're next to him again, you're entitled to the War Fork. If it's just 2 seconds, but if it's been more than 3, you got to go back to the spear. So you have a 3-second period in there where you have to decide what weapon you want to use, how long it's been since they've been next to you. Okay, so I hit him once with the spear, but then if he's not next to me with that and he runs around for another second past that, I want to go War Fork. But if he's still not next to me for a second after that, I want to go back to spear. We want to do max damage at all times for every second. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's why you want to now create a hotkey for 3 separate weapon timers, which I showed you there how to do that. It's the same thing for all the weapons. Make sure to remember double click by type. Record the macro. Just all the macro is recording you double clicking your weapon. Make sure you hit double click by D type and set a hotkey for it.
Another little super quick tip. I don't
Sure.
mean to get like overly complicated, but
I love it.
because the big burst weapons are almost always, I think they're all two-handed. When you get like poisoned by a Nox mage or a Nox dexer and you have to spam cures, a pro tip is to switch to that one-handed weapon so you can spam cures.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because if you have your two-handed weapon in your hand, you try and spam cures, it's trying to drop your weapon, drink the cure, put your weapon back in, and then you're trying to drink another cure, and it just kind of gets all buggered up.
And to add to that, when you're running from a dump, and you're barely escaping with your life, you want to time that heal pot, but you don't want to, the first thing you want to do when you start to run away is switch to a one hand, so you just have that heal pot ready when you need it.
Yeah.
If you need a heal pot and you already and you still have your spear equipped, you're not going to get to it in time.
Right.
So if you're ever feeling you're on the defensive, you should instinctively switch to a one hand. Actually, even running through a dungeon, I'm really bad for this. I run through the dungeon with the two hand, but I get body blocked to shit, and it's infuriating. But if you're running through the dungeon with a one hand, you can just spam your refresh, and you're never gonna get body blocked. It's amazing. I don't do it. You're probably wondering why. Why the hell would you not do that? Well, because if I see someone, I want to be ready with the big damage.
Right.
That's all it is. It's reckless. So where were we?
Do you have any tips for someone who is, for instance, a mace archer?
A mace archer?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You have the 3 swing speeds for your archery. You open up with your heavy expo if they're at a distance. But if you're next to them already, I would think you'd want to open up with a warhammer, right?
Yeah. You basically just want heavy and slow, and then you want to switch to your fast and light damage.
Yeah, I've seen mace archers. They roll with 6 weapons. It's a nightmare for me to fight. I have to run, but sometimes my pride gets the better of me, and I try to fight back, and it's just David versus Goliath at that point. But I don't win, and I'm David. I don't win that fight ever. But yeah, it's the same thing. For archery, though, I've never had an archer, but you really have to master to stand still for those timers because you can't shoot while you run. So that's a little tricky.
There's a key in CUO called pause walk, and it'll stop you from running just long enough to get the shot off. You can just tap it, and it's like a fire if you're in range.
Is that legal though on the shard?
Yeah, it's under options.
Oh shit! Really? Okay, that's why some people
is
see
that?
Wait,
sorry, not under options, macros, and then the macro itself is called pause walk.
Really?
I never heard of that, but
Me neither.
that explains a lot. That explains fucking wang.
I don't see it. On the macros, is that?
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Oh yeah, I see it. Pause walk, almost at the very bottom in macros. Create a new macro and basically scroll all the way to the bottom.
Yep.
I did not know that. Huh.
Amazing.
I'm gonna test that out.
That makes me want to make an archer now.
That's really cool. Nice tip.
Call him Potato Launcher. Cool. Anyone not understanding the whole weapon thing? I know it got a little confusing there for a second. Does anyone want to kind of test on me here? They're swapping. Do they have it set up? Do they have more than one weapon already here? Nice. Perfect feats. Perfect. I love it. The man came to destroy. Now you got to help this guy. Oh, shit.
Oh yeah, I don't have my hotkey set up on this dude.
Wait, how did he poison you? Did he poison you?
I did on antidote.
Oh, okay. this macer can poison people. That's crazy.
Imagine
that. Imagine a Nox macer, a Nox mage macer. How fucking
God.
ridiculous that would be. I don't even think it can be fit. All right. So what's next? We're going to telekinesis potion. Basically, if you're a pure dexer, it's not an option that is out of your ballpark, because at some point I would recommend, at the very least, trying to fit in some magery. You're gonna start raging as a pure dexer no matter how long you've been doing it, because you can't wall, you can't teleport, you can't interrupt spells. You know, like you know that they're gonna heal, but there's nothing you can do about it. But try to get a 50% coin flip on it. It's
dispel.
Yeah, you know, there's just so much that can just come from even just 40 magery, but I would say, you know, it goes as far as 60 magery, but that's down the road when you're more comfortable with your build. Just know that that option is there to tweak your macer to add a little magery. I think that is the way to go eventually, but as a pure dexer, you're still effective, especially in a call out. But yeah, we're just going to go over. If I telekinesis pot, because I have that, did you guys see that 0.4 second wait in my macro? So it's not going to automatically cast this onto him. So it's really important, because if I cast it and he's not in range, it's not going to cancel the spell. So now I have the target ready, right? All I have to do is hit that actual hotkey again, and it will initiate the spell onto that character. And that's never going to go on to you. The only way that if it does, the only way it will is if you're mashing buttons on your queued bandage self.
But do you put the spell on him with less combatant or with less target?
In the net, no, not neither of those. I'm just hitting the hotkey twice. Or you can do last target. I can go like this, or Poor Yelm, and I can alt up wheel, and it will cast on him. It's on cooldown right now, but that's another way. But you could also just hit the hotkey twice. So there's two ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But I've been fiddling with a script for this, and I couldn't figure it out. I'll manage.
I'm gonna go back to the to that screen here, just so you guys can check it out. Is there a way I can like switch through these screens without having to do all that? Okay, so we're back, and so F1, just pressing F1 holds it. If I just want to run around and wait to see someone, you know, I'm just holding it. It lasts 30 seconds. So this target is going to expire after 30 seconds. If I find my target, I can either hold down Alt and mouse wheel up for the last target that's highlighted, or I can simply just hit the hotkey button again. And it didn't do it that time because it's on cooldown, but it will work for you if there's no cooldown. Okay, and now what you follow up with is the same thing, except instead of casting telekinesis, you're going to be double clicking an explosion potion. So we will go back to that, because this is a 2-button process, guys. You don't want to blow yourself up. It can't be done 1 button. I've tried it. People do it. I think they're crazy. I think it's mostly for just like duels, but can you even use explosion pots in the dual pits? I don't fucking know.
I think it depends on
You
what
can't.
the settings are.
Yeah, so it can't be one button. If you have it as one button already, I strongly suggest you change it. It's only going to cause problems.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't want to throw that explo pot immediately. You know, you want to wait for a good setup because you want to dump and be done. Not just do little bits of damage here and there, or else they'll just heal through it. It'll be the longest battle of your life.
Yeah, if it's all one button and they're on cooldown and they can't even be telekinesis, then your whole macro is still going to throw a potion at them too, and it's just going to land on the ground for someone to jump on. And then, you know, if a blue spots that, they're going to get hit by it, and then you're automatically counted when they die.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's another good point. If there's like a call out going on and you see your buddy cast telekinesis on the red, don't even do it. You know, it's not going to work. Only one person can have telekinesis on that person for 30 seconds.
And we're going to get into that. You can create overheads to remind you, because there is a little message at the bottom that shows when that person can't be telekinesis. Because in the heat of battle, you might not even see that little animation that makes that little swirl sound. And then you just might want to just hit your explosion pot right after. Bad. But that's, if you don't want to do the whole overhead, play with game sound and pay attention to the sound effects. And we're going to get more into that. But yeah, we're moving on. Explosion pot. That's my F2. So F1, cast the telekinesis. We've been through that. My next button is going to be F2. That is going to throw the potion as long as I'm a screen away. It's a yes.
So I just copy and paste that into a script. Because this might, I mean, what you're saying is awesome, but this might be easier for people to just apply it really fast. So in the general and Britney Spears, you could copy and paste what I just posted. Not the big bold letters, that's just the title of what it's doing. But just potion, explosion, WFT, last target. If you just copy those last 3 lines, and then go to scripts in Razor, and then that way people could just copy and paste it, boom, done. Because it's a little hard because we can't see when you're right-clicking and going through settings and stuff.
I'm kind of confused as to what you're saying here. What is this?
Okay, you're in Britney Spears, the general, like you could see it. You have the window open.
I can see your text, yeah.
Yeah, so copy those last 3 lines. Potion, explosion, WFT, last target.
Yep.
Okay, now go to Razor and go to scripts. The scripts tab right next to macros. Yep. Click new, bottom right. Title it whatever, Explopod or, explosion, and then paste it in there.
Paste it?
Yeah, right in that big blue box. Yep, hit paste. Control V.
Oh, there's no button for it. Okay. That's it?
And then hit save. And then you could hit set HK right below that to whatever hotkey you want.
Oh, wow.
And then, whatever hotkey you want to have it. And then press the hotkey and it'll do it.
Okay, so that's for just the explosion pot, right?
That's just throwing it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. We already did the telekinesis one. That's good. Everyone's got that. This is the throwing one. So you hit the F1, and so if I set a hotkey for this, I'm going to try that. Override my initial one.
Another coder is born.
Is it working for everyone? Oh, someone already used it on that one.
Let's see.
It's not working for me.
I think you're out of Explopots, that's why.
Oh, yeah, fuck. Who's got an Explopot?
Brownie, you got any extra? Give him some.
I can spare some.
Yeah, I don't have any on me.
Thanks. Oh, nice. Yeah, it works. Cool.
Yeah.
Much better. All right. Did everyone see that? Everyone got that?
I missed. What'd you do? You set a script for it, or?
Yeah, I just typed up a little script based off what Potato was saying. Mm-hmm. So in the Britney Spears fan general channel.
Yeah, it's there. That's cool. Awesome.
Okay.
You can copy and paste for it.
Does this work for everyone? Specifically people that never had this before? Is there anyone that's lost at any of this so far?
I think good to go.
Cool. Nice. All right. Moving on. I think that's the one. That's probably the most complicated of skits. So arm and dress, guys. So we were talking about those double clicking, swapping. That's what you do when you're switching between weapons. You don't want to use the arm dress function in Razor for doing that because when you undress a weapon, it takes like a second to undress that weapon and then dress a new one. So essentially, what you want to only use dress for is when you're equipping a weapon while you have a spell ready. So it will cancel your spell if you double click a weapon when you have a spell ready. So you never want to use your swapping keys once you cast a spell. So I'm just going to go to my game screen here just to kind of show you the finished product of what I'm talking about. So if I'm casting Flame Strike, I target that red. Now it's ready, but my hands are empty. I'm very vulnerable. I have no wrestling. I select my dress hotkey, which we're going to make. Now I have the weapon in hand, and the spell is still ready. So I can essentially hit him after I attack him, of course. And then I can immediately last target and release a Flame Strike. So that's 65 damage instantly, all in the same second. The only downside is I lose my weapon to cast the spell, of course, but it does that automatically for me. So I believe that's default setting. So how are we going to set this up? So this one's a lot easier. We go over to Razor, the arm/dress tab, and we're going to create a new dress list.
Need to change your screen.
Oh shit, you're right. Change the screen over. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to ignore all this nonsense, just add a new one, enter the name for the dress list. You can call it, see, for me, I only dress the burst weapons. I don't have any hotkeys for dressing my interrupt. But you could do that, but I would just suggest creating a dress for your burst weapon. So create it, call it halberd, spear, warhammer, whatever. It's got to be a melee weapon or a heavy crossbow works as well. Call it one of those things, make it, hit OK, and then you click on that section that you have already, and in there you're going to want to click add target, and then you just select the target. You just go back to your game and you click the weapon you want to dress. It's going to obviously just identify that weapon back in your dress list as a code, which you again have to double click or right click it and go to convert selected by type, or convert to selected by type, like we did for all the other things. So it always will dress a spear of that type, whether it's Averite, Vanquishing, Dull Copper, whatever. As long as it's a spear, it's gonna dress that spear. Sorry, did you have a question?
Yeah, that is going to be different with aspects. It's impossible to select a weapon to dress based on aspect color.
No, it still works. It still works for aspected weapons. I use it all the time.
Yeah, but you might pick up the same weapon and then you dress that.
Yeah, you don't want to have the same weapon in your backpack, more than one of the same weapon in your backpack, unless you want to roll with like 3 poisoned spears and you don't want to run out of charges without applying it. But it's just going to cycle through any spear that you have in your bag, whether it's aspected or not aspected. The aspect does not affect the computer in this one. So
Yeah, but that's what I mean. With the coming changes, it's important that you are donning your aspected weapon, right?
after the changes coming up,
Yeah,
it's important that you equip your aspect weapon.
yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're right. Because even when you're not even before the changes, if you're going up to a monster to get that defensive stance, obviously activated, and you don't have aspect on your weapon, you're probably going to miss, and then you're going to take that damage without even activating your defensive. So yeah, it's important. I have my weapon aspected all the time because I don't want to miss.
But if I say I have a mace, but if I happen to pick up the same type of mace and I use a dress macro, I might end up with the new one in my hand.
Yes, you will. That's what I mean. You got to be careful about that. You don't want to do that. And if you're picking up someone else's mace, you're probably looting a kill, and the call it's probably over. That's just something you got to watch. It's just the way it is, because you're not going to want to identify a specific. You're going to have to change it every time you lose a weapon. So you just got to work around that. And yeah, that is the situation that happens. But usually when you're looting stuff, the fighting's over. You can just go drop it off and reset all your gear to where it should be, and you're good to go again. But does anyone have any trouble creating a dress list and adding an item to it? And make sure you remember to right click and go to convert to double click by type. And then with that, we just go back to the hotkeys, and there's actually a drop down menu under hotkeys, dress, or you can type it into the filter.
I think it was Bardache Burst. I think is what you created that under. I think.
Yeah, but it should be like mine should already be there. Where the heck is the one they have? Did I cancel the one? Oh no, there it is. So that's mine down there. But yeah, it's in the list wherever it is. It's in dress. So you go down to it, you find, or sorry, not dress. You got to go to toggle with the colon and then the name of your dress, the name of the dress you just created. Not dress, but toggle, because I believe you can. Toggle is better because the same button will unequip it if you need to.
Quick note with toggle, if you have a different weapon equipped, you'll have to press the button twice if you have 0 object delay on.
So you should not be swapping with the dress macro at all. Dress is only for equipping a weapon when you have a spell loaded. If you need to swap through weapons, you have to use your double click hotkeys. We created those 3 macros that you should have had that go towards the 3 sets of weapons, the burst, the mid-range, and then the interrupt. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Those should be double click macros. That has nothing to do with the dress. But like you said, you're right. There is a huge delay if you're switching between weapons with the dress macro. This is not ideal for farming PVM at all. This is, in my opinion, solely for loading a weapon when you have a spell ready to go. Or equipping a weapon when you have a spell ready to go. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yep.
Just show you guys the finished product one more time here. So I have my double click. I got a red there. I'm casting Flame Strike. Gonna dress my spear. Gonna attack him. And I can last target the Flame Strike without having to unequip my weapon or anything. You just gotta make sure you get your weapon back on after you do that. Okay. So on to the next. We just covered precasting, I'm pretty sure, for the most part. For precasting, yeah, it's as simple as that. You hold the spell. I mean, you should always be loaded whenever you're entering a fight. I feel weird personally if I'm a mage and I have damage dealing spells. If I'm not loaded with something, at least a telekinesis spot, I feel weird because I'm not prepared. So for heals, everything. You know, if you feel like you're running into a situation where someone can need healing, precast a heal. Put your weapon on and get in there ready to heal, because you don't have to use your cursor to do anything. We have all of these hotkeys set up for that. But yeah, that's just mostly for mages. So on to the next. Interrupts. So for interrupting, basically, you know, we're going to go through how to set up the spells and everything. So we have all the hotkeys for that. But interrupts are a little different in my opinion. Let me just see. So the way I have my interrupt is if I am out of range with my first circle spell, it's going to cast it and it's going to give me that. Sorry, let me go back to my screen. Or am I here already?
Yeah, we can see you.
Oh, okay. So,
oh wait, now you're on somebody else.
Am I? Oh my god. Potato peeler probably.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
There we go.
So if I'm out of range with this, the way this is set up, Des, Manny, Weaken, it's going to give me this and it's going to make me ready for it whenever I do see him. So if I'm chasing him and I have a feeling he's going to stop to heal, I'm going to get Weaken up and then I'm going to dress my spear. So the next time I hit him, I can interrupt that G heal right away. Unless he has Reflect up. But he should have been broken anyways.
Right.
But that's huge because that's the first thing that people or targets want to do is they want to heal as soon as they take the big hit. But that's a waste of time when you have a weaken ready. Now, if you want to spam interrupts, you can only use certain circles for each time frame. There's a cooldown. I believe it's either 3 seconds or 5 seconds. If anyone wants to correct me, feel free. So you can use first circle spell, second circle spell, and a third circle spell. And then you want to cycle through those. Or else if you just spam weaken, it's not going to keep interrupting him. It's only going to interrupt them once every 5 seconds. 3 to 5 seconds, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you want to weaken. You can lightning, and Manny, which I don't even, and Manny, harm. I would want to keep those 3 spells close together. All of the little ones, the clumsy, the weaken, the feeble mind, poison, harm, lightning. I would batch those up together in a section on your keyboard. Mine are 5 F keys side by side.
Yeah, G heal is a 1.25 second cast. So you got to be damn quick on the draw to interrupt them.
It's best just to have it precasted. You know it's coming, and just have it ready. So yeah, we're going back to this. Now, for your spells, all right, we'll just stick to the interrupts for now. The interrupts we'll keep in Razor. So the interrupts are macros. I have weaken. You want to create macros for each. So it's F6. I created that hotkey there. Weaken. Weaken is cast spell weaken. You can pull that square like we did before, and you do the execute last target, which you can record yourself doing everything manually. And like we said before, let's just show you guys. Shit, I don't have the spell out. 1 sec. Begin recording here. Get back to your game. Weekend. I think that should have set it up pretty nicely. Okay, so ignore this stuff up here. This is already mine. But this is what you're going to turn it into. So you have all you see here is cast spell weaken number 8. Wait for target. All I did is I recorded myself clicking that square in the game by pulling it out of my spell book, the weaken spell. and I casted it on the red. So I'm left with the recording, cast spell weaken, wait for target, absolute target. That absolute target, if you right click it, can be converted to last target, and you don't have to put the 0.4 seconds in. So it's just this, now that you guys can see it all. Voila. And you do that for weaken, weaken, feeble mind, clumsy, and that's it. Don't do it for anything else. So if it says wait for target in the middle of your spell hotkey, that means that if you're next to him and you hit the button, it's going to automatically cast on them. But if you're out of range and you hit the button, it's going to hold the target and it's going to cast on them when you hit the button again and you have them targeted. But with the 0.04 seconds in the middle, even if you're right next to him, it's not going to cast right away. You have to press the button twice, or press the button and execute last target manually. Any confusion on that at all? So that would just be the 3 spells that I would recommend. You can add Magic Arrow if you want, but Harm, Lightning, I would suggest, just being quick with it. Precast those, have those ready for the interrupt. Most of my interrupts, honestly, they come from stuff that's precasted. I very rarely hit that interrupt in time to interrupt a G heal when it's at the same time in tandem with each other. Very rarely.
I included in the Britney Spears general channel a little Majory chart spreadsheet that I made one day, and that breaks down every spell, the mana cost, the casting time, the regs you need, the minimum Majory. So for building those Dexter mages where you don't need GM Majory, but you want just enough to get all these like utility spells, you could kind of reference that, and then you could kind of like plan your arsenal. Kind of like Potato saying, if G heal cast time is 1.25 seconds, you want to get off a spell quickly. Like you don't want to be casting, lightning, because that takes the exact same time to cast G heal. So that's not really an effective interrupt.
It'll never happen unless you have it preloaded.
Right.
But also, you're going to be really tempted just to swap to your interrupt weapon. But as a Dexter, that's what you're going to be doing. That's your interrupt. If you're a pure Dexter and you don't have Majory, all you have to do is you have a 50% chance to interrupt that spell. But you should almost never be attacking a mage when you're next to a mage and he's standing there. You should almost never have anything else but an interrupt weapon on. It should just be interrupt, 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 interrupt. Even if you're missing every time, you're doing the right thing. We're going to touch base on when you should run, but that's coming up. But for now, I think we just covered the interrupt spells there. Am I right?
Yeah.
Cool. I left out the rest of the spells because they can all typically be... Do you guys see my Razor screen still?
Mm-hmm.
In hotkeys, when you go to spells, the rest, for the most part, can just be like in here.
Yeah.
You go to hotkeys, spells drop down menu, and all your spells are there. You just assign hotkeys to them. They're going to still work the exact same way as the delay. Remember what I said before about the delay? So they're going to act as if there's a delay in there. It's not going to cast instantly when you're next to them. You can hold your spells. There's lots of freedom. You can do that. Or if you really, really want to save some milliseconds, you can set all of your spell hotkeys in UO options. You can't mess with targeting. You can't switch the targeting. You can't go to targeting in UO options and use targeting in Razor. They don't work well with each other. But in terms of the physical casting of the spell, you can create spell macros in the in-game options. I'll show you guys. So there's 2 options here. The faster one, and it's by like milliseconds, is using in-game spells when you can. Like in-game macros for your spells when you can. So I'll just go to that.
While you're loading that up really quick, I gotta take off, but
Sure.
I just wanted to remind you guys really quick that, dude, Face Guild, right? They're like, I think, our biggest problem. Face Guild, GG, right? These guys do scummy things. They're always rolling on us. They're always killing us at freaking everything we do. Face Guild has 1,467 members, right? Almost 1,500 characters in their guild, right? Obviously, a lot of those are alts or people that don't play anymore, whatever. If you take our whole big massive alliance, DTF, CFC, New, KOU, Path, SIR, U, and NKB, we have 3,383 characters in the guild. We have 2.3 times the members that Face has alone, which means we have them on a numbers advantage, right? Obviously, those numbers are kind of skewed because we're not all online at the same time. Many of those members probably don't even play anymore. But if we can get this PvP thing down, dude, we can freaking take them, right? We just need to get more involved in PvP. You don't have to be a master, but if you just show up, right? Just showing up alone puts pressure on them. So I just wanted to let you guys know that we have more than double the numbers of Face Guild as an alliance. We should be crushing them at everything. So, Potato, I just want to say thank you, dude. This is awesome. I'm going to leave my thing recording. I'll leave my red here for target practice.
Cool.
Just don't kill him because I won't be here to res him. But I got to bail, unfortunately. Awesome stuff. I hope you guys continue to stay and listen to the rest of this.
Yeah, man, it's been amazing. Thanks for backing me up with some of that scripts and the additional points there. You've been great.
For sure, man.
That's awesome. All right, we'll see you out there soon.
Yeah, dude. I'll catch you guys later.
So I'm thinking you guys can all see my in-game macros here. We're going to get to the good stuff here. I know this stuff's kind of boring, but it's useful. Another mess here, but we got macros on the left side, new macro. Call it explosion, explo, whatever. I don't do this, but this is the faster way, so I'm not going to hate on this method. Where the hell is it? All right, so you set a hotkey, whatever you want it to be, Alt F, and then go down to cast spell right here, and then you got the whole list. Is this alphabetical order or what? No. All right, there it is. Hit apply, hit OK, you got Alt F. Oh, you got to hit that check mark. Don't forget to hit that check mark. And you got that little, this might not override, we'll see. Whoops. Yeah, it's not overriding my Razor hotkeys, but you guys got the point. If you did all your spells, not the interrupts, because we need the interrupts to have the ability to cast instantly. Those 3 that I talked about, Clumsy, Feeble Mind, Magic Arrow is optional, and Weaken. But the rest of the spells you can use in either Razor, Hotkeys tab, or in-game options. They will all still work with your last target. As long as you get the spell up, it's still gonna, you're still gonna be able to use all of those targeting things that we used before. So you just use the spells. Don't try to use any targeting in-game options. Just the spells, the physical casting of that spell. What you do with the target indicator is determined by our targeting hotkeys and our last target hotkey. I believe that is it for offensive. Nope, one more little thing I wanted to add. Dexters, you've been going through a tough time with all of this mage shit. I hear ya. When to strike. We were talking about that last time. For Dexters, you guys are the ones getting close, and I see it all too much. We charge at the red, we do damage, and we try to just keep doing damage in hopes that we're going to eventually kill them. We don't know exactly what everyone else is doing, but we do know that we want to do as much damage as possible. This is the wrong method, guys. I mean, if you are standing next to a mage for longer than 2 seconds, you are already dead. For the most part, if there's more than 2 of them, you're already dead. If there's 1, you can judge it. But when you're running up to a red and you miss, like I just got hamstrung, this needs to be an instant mechanism in your head when you're hamstrung to use your rope hotkey. as soon as you're hamstrung, that should be instant in your mind. You got to rope out of there. And there's really nothing else that you should be doing. That it should be instant. It should be like breathing to you, because once you get out of that, they already have explosions on you. Like those are already on the way, but they're casting E-bolt to follow up with that damage. So if you rope away, it only takes you a second. You're basically out of range of their E-bolt already, and it takes them like 2 or 3 seconds to cast the E-bolt. So you just wasted their explosions. They're chasing you out of range with an E-bolt. You're now baiting them because they're tilted because they just wasted their explosion, and they have you set as the target. So anyone now that attacks them is virtually immune for the next 3 seconds until they reset you as a target. So if someone else were to come in as a Dexter while this whole situation is happening, sorry, do I have my game screen on?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. While this is happening, you can see this happening. Most people run. They see mages casting E-bolt and chasing another player. They're like, oh, I got to get the hell out of here. Do you really think that 3 mages want to waste an E-bolt on you and it's not going to kill you? No, they're trying to get the person that their explosions just brought down to half. So they're tilted, they're committed, right? So if you run in and attack them, you might have a few seconds to discombobulate them, but then you got to get the fuck out because they're resetting. And then in comes another me, that was running. Now I've recovered and I'm coming back hard after they set you as their target. Now they have to readjust everything. It's already too late. It's too much chaos because they're having to switch their target and they have no choice. Mages work as a group. Guys, they don't decide these things on their own. They have a caller and they all have to listen to the caller and they all have to set you as a target. To switch targets, they have to set you as a target. They have to set another target. It all takes time, and they also have to stand still to cast. So if you're constantly moving in and out, they're never going to get anything done. If you're constantly eating explos, you're not going to die. You're just going to keep getting away, and they're going to have to recover, and eventually they're going to be out of mana. What they want you to do is they want you to hang around in range. So when should you attack as a Dexer or even a tank mage? Well, if you're the first person that's attacking and there's no one else around.
Question. Is there any way you can tell you've been targeted by an expo?
Well, you can kind of look at a magic reflect. Has a little bit of a blinking go off when it spell's on the way or a resisting of the spell.
But there's no message.
There's not really any indication, but it seems to be pretty obvious, for the most part. But that's also technique and experience. There's some callers are a lot more experienced than others, and they'll bait you into thinking that the target's one and it's actually another. So, I mean, there's some pretty badass PvPers. Ice will kill you instantly. A lot of these things, you can't really be too upset about. But generically, for the most part, the Reds aren't that good, guys. They really aren't. They can't really sync up that well. So say a couple of Reds are on me and I'm by myself and I want to eat some explosions. I see 3 Reds, I can take 3 explosions. I got my strength pot going, all of that. And I run up to them, their group, and I attack the one that's closest to me. There's a few things that can happen. One thing could happen is I get a hit on, they get hamstring like that. And maybe I can even get in a second hit. But that was what, 1 second, guys? If I hit that hit or not, I'm out. Whether I hit it or not. Especially if I'm free and I'm not hammied. I'm out, no matter what. I will not stay there for longer than a second and a half. Because the explodes are already coming. They're already going off on me, maybe all at once, each for 20 to 30 damage. The E-bolts are just out of range. And if they were to actually rope E-bolt you, I mean, maybe one can successfully do it, but all 3 to do it in tandem, I've never seen it. So at most, you're going to get, redlined in that situation. If one of them's good enough at rope spelling. But for the most part, like clockwork, you're going to eat those explodes. They're going to be tilted. They're going to be chasing you. Hopefully someone else clues into that and attacks. But the golden rule of thumb, guys, if you don't see what they casted and they're running at you, you gotta leave. You really do. You gotta go. If you didn't see what they're casting, if you don't see what they have loaded, I wouldn't mess with it too much. But it's the mages, you kind of see that they were just healing or they were just getting reflect up or something. You can run in, you can do the 1-2 tap, whether you miss or not, leave. Eat those explodes, guys. That's the game. Eat the explodes, drain the mana. In and out, in and out. It's that's really all it is. You don't want to be fighting mages that have mana. So another thing that can happen is you can miss on the first strike and you can get hammied. You can get hammied. Obviously you want to rope away like we already explained, and you want to always have that, you want to always expect getting hammied. You always want to expect the worst case scenario. So have your finger on that hotkey. At most you're sticking around for 2 seconds. And that's when you want to strike. If you don't run at mages, you have no idea what they have loaded, for a general rule of thumb. So do some observation. Don't run in and just charge in. Have some patience. And that is basically it for offensive. Is there any questions?
I joined excessively late.
Good timing. There's an IDOC.
Yeah, we're not going to go right now. Do you all want to go to the IDOC? Let me just see what else is left in this. Okay, no, there's still some important stuff to go over here, guys. Sorry. We'll get there, though. So we got to go to defensive just to make sure that everyone has this going. I think this is one of the most important parts of this. You go to your options, general tab. It's only down a little bit under mobiles. Does everyone have that up? So mine is, I'm always going to show their HP values in the percentage, not a line. Right there. But only if they're less than 100%. So percentage, check show HP, percentage, less than 100%. Not always, not smart. Less than 100%. So that means if someone around you doesn't need help, you're not going to see anything. And if they just lost a little bit of health, it's going to still be a green number. So it's a really good indication that they're okay. When do you want to heal someone? You're going to waste a heal if someone's yellow or green on the HP. You can end up syncing up with their bandage or their heal pod, and it was just counterproductive. So there's a time to strike, like I explained, but there's also a time to heal. So when you have these HP percentages up, they're going to designate when that time is. For me, I'm going to want to heal them if they're, in the red. Obviously, they need a freaking heal. I should have a heal up. The first thing I do when I see them in the red is I cast heal, and then I switch their target. Am I frozen? Okay. So if I see them below health, I'm going to cast the heal first, and then while the heal is casting, there's a lot of greens on the screen, but then I'm going to go to the target. If they're running at you guys, and they're coming out and they're being chased, there's not going to be very many greens on the target. And then I heal them. When they're red. But another thing you have to know is there's a time where you have to have that, just like the rope, you have to have that instinct to cast heal as soon as you hear it. And this is why it's important to have your sound on. If you hear an ally get hammied, it makes a very distinct sound. It sounds like a horse's ass getting beaten. If you hear that sound, you need to get a heal up. You need to hit G heal. And obviously it doesn't apply if you're a Dexter. If you're a Dexter, you're more than welcome to probably just run in and just cause as much disruption as you can, because I can almost guarantee you that the target is the hamstring guy. So the only person that's in jeopardy is the hamstring guy, because when the enemy hears that horse getting beaten and that hamstring sound, their whole focus is their spell damage on that immobilized player. So you need to get a heal ready for them or attack whoever is causing them grief. That is the indicator, whether it's a llama or whatever the sound is. Get used to making sure that's a reflex, because we have quick ways to heal now. We have quick ways to attack. When you hear an ally getting hammied, you're in the green. You're in the safe for the next 3 seconds, guys. Does everyone have that HP values up? Okay, so you guys see those bars? This bar here? Maybe the nameplate. The nameplate probably is better than that. I think that's in Razor somewhere. I don't want to take up a lot of your guys' time. I just don't feel it's that necessary, but it is nice to have. But it's in Razor somewhere if you ever end up finding it. It's just, you know, cool to have both. But I think the nameplate would probably be better. The percentages and the nameplate. On to the next. So cross healing, we covered it. Heal self. So very important. We're going to go back to Razor. Target self. Click it in the filter. We got target self. It's a hotkey, guys. It's at the very bottom of the target tab in hotkeys tab. Mine is capital, caps lock. This is why you guys see me typing in caps uncontrollably, because I have to look down to type and I don't see it all being printed out or what. Sometimes I'm yelling, I'm pissed off. I'm not saying that's never the case, but I don't recommend using caps lock as your target self. It's just what I'm used to. If you can find an easier button, that's fine. This is for when you're casting a beneficial spell. You know, you can do it any of the traditional ways. You hit your same heal button for greater heal, whether it's in-game or in Razor. It's just a spell hotkey to cast greater heal. Where you target and what you press for that target is going to determine where it goes. If you're highlighting a red and you alt mouse wheel up for your last target, you're going to heal the red. Or if you get a heal up and you have a special button for target self, like this one, you can heal yourself without having to click yourself or do anything like that. This is really handy for, I'll show you guys a trick. Potato skewer, going back to that. This is really handy for going into a fight. If you're a mage and you have a weapon, you can hold G heal with your weapon equip. So I can go and I can attack Rigor all I want, holding that G heal. He doesn't know that I have a G heal. He probably thinks he's going to kill me. You know, whatever can be going on. I mean, this is kind of a lame fight, but you know, at any moment in the next 30 seconds, if I need an instant heal, I get it. I had the heal loaded. I target myself. I'm good to go. I do not have to worry about healing a red with a target self button because I'm not red, right? All right. I think that one's pretty straightforward. Everyone can get to the target self, make it a hotkey. It should be easy to get to. If you all make it caps, we're going to have fun ally chat. I don't mind. But yeah, on to the next. Trap pouches. Mine, I go to in-game options. Can you guys, it's my game screen, right? Yeah. In-game options, you go to macros. I think everyone has this one already. So I called mine explode. I call everything explode. I don't know why. So basically it's just a macro. Oh, that one's not even set. Yeah, well, maybe mine's in Razor, whatever. But it's just a macro. You create the macro, you set a hotkey, and you just drop down the menu. Say bracket pouch, and then you know if you set a hotkey for it, apply there, bracket pouch, bracket pouch. So basically, you're just saying bracket pouch with that hotkey, making a macro to say something. That's the first rule of RP. Yeah, Rigo's right. Just as a side note about those interrupts, if you don't have lightning preloaded, it will never interrupt G-heal if you're casting at the same time. But yeah, I think everyone has a trap pouch. Does anyone not have a trap pouch hotkey right now and needs me to go through that a little bit again? And he will do pouches of items if you drop the pouch. Oh, okay. Everyone's good? Awesome. Okay, where are we going now? Training resist. Telescope Island, guys. Just write it down. It's an island. It has little tiny caster mobs. They're like level 2 mobs, maybe level 1 now. So you go there and you gather, you know, some mobs together, 2 or 3 of them. If you have a guy that has healing, set him up to bandage heal you while you're taking these spell hits. And you have to kill those mobs. I think it's like 0.5 or 0.3. Every 0.3 gain each. So if you have 3 mobs, every time you gain a full point in resist 1.0, you have to kill those mobs and get 3 more. But essentially what you're doing is you're going to try to reduce your damage during this time to magical spells. So you want to bring a resist keg, or you want to just bump your alchemy up to 50 by buying the skill just for this situation until you're done training resist. So that's just for new characters. So resist is the most important part of a PvPer. Scully will definitely disagree, but a PvP build starts with resist, in my opinion. That's the most important. You should all be GM. The amount of times that I've escaped with 1 HP, it's countless. If I had, 100 gold for every time it's happened, I would literally have 1,000,000 gold. It happens so much. 0%, 1 HP, you're not dead at 0%. These are all, millimeters. And if I had 99 resist, I would have died. So you want to get away, guys. You want to survive as much as you can. Resist plays a huge role in that. And to train it, you gotta get hit by mobs. That's the quickest way. You'll be GM resist in a day, as long as no one comes and kills you like all the time. Does anyone have questions about Telescope Island? That's a POI. It should be in most room books.
Yeah, it's really great for resist. You can get to 80 in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's actually doubled now, the skill gain rate. It's double what it used to be. So
yeah, it's way faster. You have to kill the mobs though after you get a certain amount of resist points for it.
Yeah, I was killing 3 mobs per point. So
yeah, if you bring another guy and heal yourself, you could GM it like very quickly.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I had a macro set up that constantly healed my own character every 5 seconds. So at any time I needed a heal, I would just go over and stand next to him. That's cool.
Best buff.
You guys can DM me anytime you have questions about this in the future as well. We're getting through this baiting. I'm pretty sure I just talked about baiting, about the explosions, getting players on tilt. It's really, it's going to take a while, but for the most part, you just always have to assume the explosion's coming. Whenever a red comes in range, you have to assume for every red that you see, an explosion is already coming as soon as you see them. So you have to keep that in mind. You can take the explodes. You want the explodes. You want them to basically follow you wherever you go, trying to catch up on you, trying their best to find some sort of tiles to gain on you. But really, they're just putting themselves in a freaking hole, because when you're pulling them like that, they are extremely vulnerable. and that's what they call baiting. That's what I'm constantly doing whenever you see me running from reds. I'm not actually running from them. I am trying to get some sort of damage onto them so I can then turn back and be the second factor when they're starting to get discombobulated. So if you ever see me getting chased, it's usually a pretty good idea to maybe jump in because I've already got the explos on me most of the time. And if you do get hamstrung and they are loaded, I will have your heal. Most of the time. I can't make any promises though. Eyes and ears. Yeah, just you got to stay aware, guys. You got to have the sound going. I can't even PvP without sound. If I can't hear whether my weapon's hitting or not, I'm fucked. Like, I don't know. It's just seeing the damage is not enough for me. I got to hear it happening. Sounds are a lot. The sound of telekinesis, very important. The sound of hamstring. Like we already went over it. Just play with sound. Keep it going. And you'll be much more aware that way. So additional hotkeys. So all of my potion buttons on the side of my mouse, there's 8 buttons on the side of my mouse, and 1 through 3 are all weapons, and the rest are my potions. So that's a little cheap for me. It's very easy for me to access that. But if you don't have that feature, then I would suggest using your number row. But yeah, you're just setting the hotkeys for your spells and your potions. It's nothing fancy. It could be in game. Actually, I don't think you can set hotkeys for potions in game. Use Razor for the potions. Under hotkeys, it shows. I'll go back to the Razor screen here. So under hotkeys, potions, drop it down. You got all your potions. It's as simple as just setting hotkeys for them. Make sure you hit set. You're good to go. Spells is the same thing. You can do the spells in game, just not the interrupts. Okay. That filter is not foolproof. Spells is in here. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's under circles. Yeah, spells. So spells, you drop down spells, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, they're all there. You just set the hotkeys for each. This is interesting. Mini heal / cure self. A great last resort if you literally have no other option, because it's not efficient to do this, but if you just need, 9 more HP to survive a magic arrow and they're just out of range, you want to have a quick button to press to automatically heal yourself or cure yourself. For me, it's Alt plus spacebar. So I can basically just pound my keyboard and it will happen. Give it a good knuckle tap. Let's just go through the spells real quick. I got Magic Arrow. None of that. Oh my god. Where's my harm? You should have harm. I don't know why it's not there. It's probably one spell that's in game. I gotta fix that. Third circle, teleport. Wall of stone. Huge. Fourth, greater heal. Lightning. That's about it. Dispel field. That's huge, guys. You want to have that pretty handy. You get fielded. You want to get out of it as soon as possible. And grav, you've all seen it. Very important to have, especially when you're chasing a red and they wall you in. Mind blast, paralyze. E-Bolt, Explosion, Invisibility, Reveal. These are just spells that I over the years have needed to use quickly. Flame Strike, and that's it. The rest of the spells that I need over here. Oh, I'll go back to my game. All over here, guys. So if there's a spell that you use sometimes, you just don't need to, it doesn't have to be a quick reflex, you could just double click it and place it. Like buffs, running into a dungeon, blessing. I have a hotkey for invisibility, not sure why that's there, but we'll fix that. Yeah, some of those shouldn't even be there, but you know what I mean. We also got this up here. Does anyone not have this? The item counter? Anyone not have this?
I find the counter fucks up a little ever since they introduced wizard thresholds.
It totally does. If you're getting your loadout and automatically put into a pouch, a trap pouch, it turns all those values to 0.
Yep.
There's probably a better way to do it, but
the only way is to enable the option that you don't want to enable auto search new containers.
yeah, so we don't want to do that.
No.
So yeah, I mean, when like it's there if you use it, it will show the value of how much is actually there. If they all say 0 and you go to use something and it still says it's not there, then you're out, right? So I would suggest maybe setting a hotkey to let you know when those things are getting low.
It's not that confirmed, but I've been told that if you have the wizard threshold open on your screen, the counters are okay, but I'm not sure.
The bag? Yeah, if you leave the bag open and it's untrapped, then it will always show. So you can do that. Okay, so to do this, just for the sake of the recording, you're gonna go. Oh, you go to counters on the left side here. Counters, cell size. Click enable counters. I don't know about any of that. Cell size, 3 rows, 6 columns. That's exactly what you see here. If you hit apply, it's gonna give you empty boxes. And then you simply just drag the items into those boxes that you want to permanently keep counts of. You don't have to do this every time you load out. They're always going to be those values of the initial item you drag there. So yeah, you have to have all these things as well if you're hybrid like me. But Dexters, you probably don't need regs, so that's a lot easier for you. Moving on. Okay, so we're getting to the fun stuff now. Rope and teleport. So we all know how to teleport. Setting up a hotkey for rope, you can do that in the in-game options. But doing both is the tricky part. Is my rope in here? Or is it in Razor? Man, I'm a mess. Okay, go with Razor. Let's go find it. Switch the screen. My lord. Alright, so rope. There it is. Look at that. Double click rope. Create a hotkey, create a macro, record yourself double clicking a rope. Right click, go to double click by type, and you got a rope ready. Then you just got to set a hotkey for it. Hotkeys, which, yeah, wow. Macros, I should have typed. Okay, so macros, go down to rope. There it is, Alt F3, the famous worst hotkey that you could ever have for rope. Don't do this, guys. I tried something else and I just kept hitting Alt F3, so it's just never gonna change for me. Don't be like me. Don't put yourself in this situation. You want your rope and your teleport to virtually be right next to each other, though. That's key. Or they can both be the same button. Actually, do that. You make one hotkey your rope and the other hotkey Alt plus that hotkey. So your teleport is going to be, say, for example, F4, which is obviously just go to your hotkeys under spells. It's there, teleport, third circle, F3, right? And then your rope, which we already went through, Alt F3. So, like I said, make it something else, but do the Alt is the difference. So the whole basis of this is you are roping in between the casting of the teleport. So teleport takes a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds, whereas roping takes 1 second. So you have a period in the casting time of the teleport to actually get a rope off. So the first thing you do is you cast teleport to initiate the casting time, but then you instantly want to initiate rope. Now the first target cursor that's going to pop up is your rope. So you're going to click that as soon as possible. It has to be 10 or less squares. And in order to know that, we're gonna activate something called a target range indicator. So I'm gonna go back to my screen here, my game screen, and I don't even have it. Oh, I do have it. Okay. So general, go down. Watch, it's gonna take us 10 minutes to find it. Show it right under miscellaneous. Show target range indicator. You make sure that's checked, right? So what that does, whenever you have a target up, you see that number on the end of my cursor? That's how many squares away that target is. So if I try to rope 11, too far away, I failed. But 10, 10's good, but you want to be safe and go 9, because when you're in the moment and you got to do this fast, it's not that easy. So the first thing you want to do is teleport and then rope right away. So the whole roping process you're completing. You're roping and you're clicking before the target indicator pops up for teleport. So essentially you're getting 2 target indicators back to back with 2 clicks. If everyone's here, I'd love for you guys just to try this for a little bit, because this is actually like the bee's knees when it comes to getting a kill, when it comes to evading kills, when it comes to catching up with someone. It's essential. If you're a Dexter, don't feel down. You're going to have the opportunity down the road to add magery. It's not going to ruin your build. But even just roping is cool. So it's teleport, initiate the full rope process, which is rope hotkey and clicking, all in a 1 second window. I don't think Feats can cast teleport, but you get the idea. Okay, moving on.
You can still cast teleport while roping.
What? Yeah. Yeah, if you just want to, okay, let me go back into this requires more. When you're in PvP, if you can rope and teleport, you just want to teleport, because a teleport is a 10-second cooldown in PvP. But if you rope, both teleport and rope are on a 2-minute cooldown. If you just rope without teleporting, you will not be able to teleport or use rope for 2 minutes. So that's bad. So if you just stick to teleporting, you get to teleport every 10 seconds in PvP. The only time you want to use rope is in emergencies. emergency situations, that hamstring sound of a horse getting beaten, when you hear that, you rope. Or if you know a choke point's coming up, you're chasing your red and you know you can get ahead to put a wall up, then you rope. It's worth it. You're going to kill the red, you're going to go home, and your 2-minute cooldown isn't going to be shit. So it's all about securing kills or securing your life. Don't use it just to have fun for like 2 seconds, because you're going to regret it in PvP. But out of PvP, you can rope, and you can literally rope and teleport through an entire dungeon. If you have Void, it just refreshes your mana every, like, what is it, minute? So it's just free to just jump through dungeons, and you get through dungeons in half the time. That's why I get to callouts early and die, and I wonder where everyone's at, because I'm the only one rope and teleporting. But that's to be expected, though. Nice job, nice job. Where are we going now? We got that. We did target range indicator. Now we're going to do drag select. So if you go to in-game options, I am in. There's more tips too on the general about creating scripts. So if I go to options and I believe it's in general, and you're going to scroll down, you're going to look for health bars and drag select. What is mine? I don't think I have to hold down anything. Yeah, so I just have to left click and hold, and I bring a square over everyone, and I automatically get all their health bars on the right side of my screen. Now you can enable this for players, or you can do it for just mobs or pets, or drag select. My select all modifier would be control, so if I hold control and do that, it gets all the pets and everything together. See, now my mount is included in that, I believe, right? No? Who the fuck knows? It's not that important, so you can play around with it. As long as when you hold left click and you drag this box over, it grabs all the players. I think that's most important. You can use that while healing at bosses. You can use that healing in big fights at the Omnis. It's mostly for cross healing. Or if you're in the Omni, which it's chaos for our alliance because half of the guilds are gray to us that are on our side, you're just going to have to drag select to get bars because you can't even use your targeting anymore. It's unfortunate for us, but you'll even have to use bars as a Dexter in the Omni realm. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. If someone calls a target and you're a Dexter, you have to double click the bar. You just won't get to the target in time with targeting cycling. Yeah, we're getting close to the end here, guys. Dungeon PvP. Aggro, looting, scouting, running in, walling, fielding. These are all pretty self-explanatory things, right? Because you guys know how aggro works. If you're the one that is second in line, if you're the last of the line, you know you're probably going to be the one that gets shit on. So if you're chasing, it's probably not a good idea to continue chasing unless you're right on top of them. If you're right on top of your target and you manage to stay very, very close, odds are you're actually going to bypass the aggro unless it's one of those, instant aggro, like the axe throwers, or even those stone gargoyles. But you typically don't want to chase into those mobs. So it's okay to back off. You don't have to continue chasing if you lose tiles. What do you do? Well, if you're chasing reds in a call out, essentially, and you lost them, you want to find the nearest gate because you have maybe 10 seconds at most before you can gate after combat. And when you gate, we're going to get into this later, you're going to have a rune tome that has the entry of every single dungeon in it. So you hit the moon gate and you go meet those reds right at the beginning of the dungeon. And you just bypassed all that spawn, and now you're on the flip side where he's running out of the dungeon towards you with all the shit on him. And we all call that a cut. That's a form of a cut. But the main point with this is don't chase in the spawn. Do not do it. You're going to die. It's okay to back off, especially if they have the aggro. You don't want to take it off them. How bad does it feel when, the red is at 30% and you're chasing them trying to get that last hit and the gargoyle's looking at him? If you weren't there, the gargoyle would kill him, but you don't realize it and you continue chasing him, and instead of attacking the 30% guy, the gargoyle kills you. When you could have just stood back and watched it all happen. So it's really important to know and be aware. But yeah, that's also going to come with a lot of practice too, trial and error. But for looting, I don't loot very much. I just keep running because once you're flagged and your target's dead, you're vulnerable for at least a minute. You got no aspect. That's going to change, obviously, but for now, it's best just to run and hide somewhere. Don't try to loot. Let the mobs reset. If you're a mage, invis, and then get a blade spirit up, earth elemental up. If you're a dexer, you basically just got to find a safe spot and wait for your aspect to return. It's not worth looting the reds around the mobs. Scouting, I got something about scouting in here, but I'm going to kind of skip that. That's self-explanatory. Like, you run through a dungeon looking for reds. Running into a call out. Pretty self-explanatory. Run into the call out. Look for the reds. It's nice to ask where they're at before you head in, but you just wasted 10 seconds of a 2-minute timer that is down to 1 minute when it was called out, because most people don't call the reds out until after they're dead. So it's already just a minute left. So to ask for directions, it's already wasting time. Usually if you have tracking or someone else is running in, you can just follow them. Just run to the back of the dungeon and pay attention to ally chat and adjust your plan accordingly if you see a position. They call it eyes. If someone says, eyes, they're asking if anyone sees the reds and where they're at. So rather than saying, how many are there, which is a long sentence, or where are the reds, which is another long sentence, you can probably just type eyes with your left hand while you're running with a question mark. And most people will understand, like, yeah, they're over here, or no eyes. So short and sweet if you do have to ask something while you're running in, but just don't try to, ask a survey before entering a call out, because by the time you get all the information, the call out's over. Walling / fielding. Typically for cutting, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you're chasing, you're in range. Walls are 3 spaces. So if it's a 3-space gap, like over here, we got one over here. Good space gap there. You have to face the direction that you want the wide side of the wall to be on. So if I'm facing it like that, it's going to go horizontal like that. If I try to place a wall and I'm facing north and I'm trying to place it next to me, I think I got to wait for that wall to leave. I'm pretty sure this wall is going to place sideways. No, it's not. Maybe if I go up here. You basically have to be facing the wall whenever you're placing it, or else you're going to end up putting it sideways. I can't wall again. I'm trying to mess the wall up. Yeah, see, like, you don't want to do that where I'm facing that direction. I'm facing like up there, and I'm not casting in the direction. Because if I cast left of me, my character is automatically going to turn in that direction. But if I'm already down and off, then it's gonna cast in that direction that it's facing. So just make sure you're facing the direction where you want the long side of the wall to be. And if it's at the top of the stairs, top of any stairs, you have to make sure you're at the top of the stairs, only 1 or 2 spaces away, or else it's not going to be in your line of sight. If you're at the bottom of a staircase and you try to cast a wall at the very top, like the one that's on Infernal 1, it's not going to work. It's out of your line of sight. So you want to be like 75% up the stairs, any staircase, in my opinion. Some stairs you might be able to do from the base, but don't play with it. Just get as close as you can. Same with fields. Overland PvP. Let's all do this together. I'm still on the game screen, right? So in the general tab, what is it, all the way at the bottom? Terrain and statics. I got trees to blocks. And fields, I got normal fields, but you can turn your fields into tile. So if I were to... Yeah, those are all very important for overland running around. Where are we at? Circle of transparency, I would say don't ever have it activated or have a hotkey to activate it and turn it off. You will run into something that you don't see or miss a doorway and you're going to hate it. So I would suggest always leaving that off. Circle of transparency, it's off by default, I think. That's what allows you to see, stuff next to you if you're up against a wall. I think you guys get it. Overland cutting. Yep.
Where was the circle of transparency option?
Okay, all right, we'll go through that. All the way in general, you go down to miscellaneous. Enable circle of transparency. You can have a fat circle, or you can have just a little bitty one. But this square determines whether it's on or off. You can make a hotkey for this to turn it on and off. I don't know how to do that because I've never done it, but that's something you can figure out. It's not hugely important, but it is if you're trying to find a pouch you stashed behind a wall, but not really PvP, wise. I don't think it's really important, but that's where that is.
Do you keep it on or off?
I keep it off because if it's on and it's like an object that will block your way, you'll run into it and be stopped. Sometimes that entire object is invisible in the circle of transparency. Like a doorway. If you run up to a doorway, you will not see the doorway. It will just be a giant gap in the wall, and you can end up just running into a wall. You need to be able to see what's going to stop you when you're running in PvP, because 1 second of a delay and you're going to get killed, right? You can't stop moving forward.
Had that happen to me in the last hour, so yes.
I'm sure, yeah. I believe it. I've been killed numerous times by running into a freaking swallow on my horse. It's a little tiny bird. Can't even see it. It's in the road. Same color as the road and everything. Tough spot. Uh-oh. Dragon Tamer's losing his mind. All right. So circle of transparency. We're done. Overland cutting. So if you're overland PvP gets a bad rap. Uh-oh. Because, man, the chases can seem endless, such a waste of time. Hopefully everyone has their world map. If you don't, there's a little arrow at the top left. You click it, and world map is over here. You click that, and then you'll be given this wonderful world map. I mean, if you have a full screen, 2 screens, which I wish I had, I would just dedicate this whole map to 1 screen, because then I could always see where my allies are. It's just too small to have in the corner, but I have no choice. But yeah, throw it on a full screen on a different monitor if you can. If you right-click this and click Free View, you can, click and hold and move around as much as you want. Now, what I really want to emphasize in is when you're running and chasing a red, say on this map, say you're chasing them around here and you just pass this bridge. If you're comfortable enough and you're still chasing, you have a straightaway, and you're going to be running straight for a while, and you have, a left hand free or something, you just hover over one of these squares. Every single one of these white squares signifies a POI. Now, point of interest, or POI, there are sets of these locations in runebook collections. There's one at the steps of the DTF Guildhouse that everyone has access to. That's where I go whenever I hear a POI as a call out. I don't know POIs. I don't have them memorized, but I do know that the name is being posted in the call out, allied call out, and the DTF stack of books there, they're all in alphabetical order. So all I need is the name, and then I can go through the books and find it. But in an overland cut, if I were to be here and I can, get a message out, I could say cut Prevalia Keep. So anyone that's not already involved in the call out, or even someone that's with you, can recall away and go to the DTF Guildhouse, get to Prevalia Keep, click it, and you're going to beat the Reds there. They're not even going to see you going there. They're not even going to believe that you were able to cut them off, all without voice. So that's very important. Nice combo. So whenever someone says a name that you're not familiar with and it's not a number, it's a POI. And if it's not a POI and they're just saying, hey, I'm in the mines near Indaria, then unless you know where that is, don't worry about it. It's very rare. But those POI callouts, they don't get a lot of response because people don't know how to get there. I'm assuming everyone has a rune to DTF, so I would suggest that if you ever hear a POI, I'm going to go there now. You hear a POI in ally chat, you don't have to follow me. This is the stack right here. This is the old system, so the old map, and these two books are the new lands. So, the first one's cities and shrines and dungeons, so ignore that. But the POIs start in the orange map. Oh, yeah, they start, halfway down the first page of the orange map. POI and Daria Cemetery. All alphabetical order. They're all here, guys, and everyone has permission to use these. This is where you should come. You should have the DTF rune in every PvPer's rune book if you don't already have a location. Because, yeah, you can find this in rune libraries. You can find this on the second floor of guild houses. But who has time for that? There isn't any. You got to go help your friends out. So this is the quickest way to it. New lands, same thing. Alphabetical order. It actually starts with the second book to the left. Abandoned trading post, all alphabetical. You can find all the POIs here. I believe these are Witchers as well. Witcher T-map spots, 1 all the way to 250. This is like the go-to spot right here. Overland callouts. Highly suggest everyone gets a rune here and puts it in their PvP rune tome. Hiding. Last thing I wanted to touch base on Overland PvP. Gets a bad rap. But if you guys see someone house hiding, 10 of us chasing a red into their house, and 7 of us leave, and for whatever reason 3 stick around, you can consider yourselves dead for no reason. Because what those reds can do is they can load up a spell and they can all eject from that house at the same time and dump on you. And there's literally nothing you can do about it. And there's no way that you can kill them. They can just run back into their house. So very, very, very important. If you don't remember anything else, try your hardest to remember that as you ever see a red running into the house, just leave. If you can't recall away, run away. Get as far as you can from the situation. You don't want anything to do with it. If you see them coming out of their house on tracking, don't turn around. Fizzle does it all the time. He wants you to turn around. Don't do it. Just leave. They've already ran from you. They're the pansies, and you've won. Go somewhere else. Forget about it. Do not hang around houses unless you have a death wish. And don't get mad that people left you there because there's really nothing to fight for. That covers Overland PvP. Callouts. So the rune tomes in the entries. Can you guys all see my screen still? Yeah? Okay, so the game screen. Okay, I'm coming back to CFC Guildos. So this is my precious rune tome. It's not perfect, but I have Aegis entry, Aegis gate. So that's normal. This is just outside the dungeon. This is at the first gate. Same with Cav. Darkmire is a little different. So I'm going to recall the Darkmire. This is my Darkmire first gate rune. There's actually no gate here at all. If you recall in here during a flashpoint, you're dead. But the advantage of recalling in this far into Darkmire already, when you don't have to come around that hill up there, it beats all of the cons. Just make sure there's no flashpoint when you come into Darkmire. So all those ratmen are gone. You get your mark. You have your rune in here somewhere ready to go. You run up in here, get as close as you can up in here past that fern bush, and you mark a rune and you get the hell out of Dodge. And then the other rune is the entry, so it's just outside the dungeon. Nothing special with that. So that's one of the specialty runes. We're going to go over to Inferno, the entry and the gate. That's self-explanatory. Petrum, the first gate is also not near a gate. It's actually into a cave with no gate around. You can recall in and out of here, though, if you wanted to. But it's just another advantage of getting into the dungeon quicker. This is not an area to cut. If someone's saying cut and you recall into this spot, you're in the wrong place. Bad spot for cutting. You might not even see the reds if you recall into here. Very good chance that you don't. What the hell? Those things always almost give me a minor cardiac arrest. Alright, time to go. I have no essence. And yeah, the Petrum entry, it's all the way at the top of the stairs. For cutting, it's always the entry, guys. Unless they're saying cut level 2 or 3, always cut the entry. There's just no reason to cut first gates. That's why the entries are all there. Because unless they can gate, which you just have no way of knowing, then they have no choice but to have to come through this way at some point anyways, right? If they can't gate, then you're going to see them at some point. You can get a wall up, get your walls ready, get your E-fields up. This is a cut, guys. I mean, if you're not comfortable PvPing, you can wall yourself out of the situation, or you can wall yourself in if you want to fight what's coming. But you got 2 walls up. You're ready to go. The reds are coming, and they're going to be trapped. You even got a gate here that you can cancel out. Now, you don't ever just want to stand around at a cut. Just because you got the walls up and things. If they're not here like within the first 10, 15 seconds, they double back. They turned around. They're running back into the dungeon. So you got to make your way in. I mean, it's better off. It's better than doing nothing. But when you're doing this, you try to make sure that, you know, nothing is coming around side of you, right? So, I mean, you would see them already if they're coming this way. You would probably track them. So you want to work your way over here. You know, just kind of slowly get your way into the dungeon. So, I mean, Petrum's kind of weird in a sense. There's just so many ways around you. Some dungeons, you know, there's not 2 ways to go. But you really don't want to... The goal is you don't want to miss them. So if they're running down the left side when you're running up here, bad luck, but you tried. But the main point is to cut. Always go to the entry, get some fields up, make sure your hamstring is active if you're a Dexter, and get ready. That can go for PVM or PvP. Does anyone not know how to activate their hamstring? So if you type in bracket hamstring while you have your weapon equipped, you have to have, certain skills to do this, which is all on the wiki. Bracket hamstring toggles your hamstring. So if you can now attempt to hamstring your opponents, your next hit has a very high chance of hamstringing your target. If you're good with it, like I said about hitting that monster to get that defensive bonus from your codex, you want to disable that hamstring for that. You don't want to waste it because you can only use it every 30 seconds. But you also don't want to forget to turn it on either. So that one's tricky. You got to really make sure that you're careful with it. But it's the same as pouches, the same as rope. You can do it in in-game options, or you can make a macro for it in Razor. There's nothing special about it. I would say that you're better off doing it in game because you can just make a macro that says bracket pouch and it's just easy. Or no, not bracket. Did I say bracket pouch? Bracket hamstring. And the same with disarm. Bracket disarm will activate your disarm, which disarm will knock a weapon out of the hands of a dexer. Not a lot of people have disarm because reds are usually mages, and disarm isn't going to do much to a character that does not need a weapon to do damage. But yeah, it's still nice to have. I think you can actually do more damage. Is it more damage if you disarm a mage? Like, do you get a damage bonus if you disarm a mage? I don't think so.
That's only versus creatures.
Yeah, it's only versus PVM. So hamstring's most important. All right, I got to get out of here. Os entry, pretty self-explanatory. First gate, self-explanatory. Nothing special about that. Noose, same thing. Although noose, am I stupid? Like, what? So noose, noose is a little different, but not by much. You still have the runes for the first gate, but you typically always want to come in on the entry in noose for every situation because it's actually faster than coming in on the first gate because you could just drop down and go right in. I mean, you could recall in over there too, but I'm always recalling it in the entry of noose. And a cut, if you're going to cut noose, you can cut up there, but they can't get up there without going through here. So this is another really good cut for E-fields only though, not walls. Walls, remember those stairs I was talking about? You're not going to want to do it from the very... this is probably one of the stairs where you could, but generally you just want to be close, just so you know you're not going to fail. Don't kill yourself. And then over here, is also another wall spot. Actually, I want to go show you guys Inferno, what I meant about Inferno. So this bridge, this is a beauty of the Grimoire, guys. Make a mushroom, get mana as a Dexer. So that bridge has no line of sight issues. I have no aspect, by the way. That's why I'm getting creamed. So this is tricky. If you cast a wall from down here up there, it's not going to work. I believe, and we can just test this together. I believe it's 2 squares. This is probably one of the most effective cutting spots because there's no gate between here and like the middle of Inferno 2. So if they can't get in the middle of Inferno 2, they have to come here pretty much, unless they go the long way around, which nobody really does. Whoop, okay. That was bad. I don't know what happened there. Did I click that monster on accident? Oh my god, just kill this thing for me, please. Perfect. Alright, so what are we? 1, 2, 3. Let's see if this works. Alright, 3 works. I wouldn't go 4. 3 or less. And we don't have to stick around to prove that. 3 or less, guys. Poma. Yep. Entry and first gate, all good. Moss, entry, first gate, all good. SSC, east and west and gate. So this is probably the most frequent cut you'll ever see. And it's just happening so much. Vorn's here already. Hopefully I have a mushroom. So as soon as the first thing you do when you're cutting SSC is you come here and you get a field up. That's the first thing you do. If that's all you want to do, recall away and leave. But this is huge, just doing this on a cut. If I'm spamming for cut, and I'm really saying cut, 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 I really mean put a field here. That's what I mean. You can run in and try to fight or whatever, that's fine. But if you just do that and leave, you're a hero. That's it. Or if you're a Dexter, you come to the entry and you just wait. You know, you stand by the gate, and if you see like 8 reds coming around and no one's on them, go like this. Get the hell out. Don't attack them and say it's our fault for saying cut. It's no, we died and the cut is off. Get the hell out. And I'm sorry I didn't get that message to you sooner. But you really got to be aware. You know, sometimes a cut is a bad cut. FK. See, my room book's not perfect. So, sorry, we got east outside SSC, west outside SSC, and inside at the first gate. Very important. The dungeon's way too active with reds to not have every single base covered. I mean, I would even go as far as getting a rune down here too, to cut off those frickin' house hiding PKs that constantly take that route. Forsaken Keep, both sides. I only have east side. Oh, look, they put the faction thing here. So east side, you should have west side as well. Over here. Pre-mark and then run in here and mark it. You'll die if you just try to mark here. So that's both sides of that. Let's just run through here real quick. It's one of the hardest places to run through. Oh, it doesn't look like I'm going to get any resistance. Oh, I thought that was a red.
You can kill him.
So, just tell a rope. Try to time it. Oh, I'm out of mana. Oh, that wasn't even impressive. There was no mobs. So that's that. Yeah, this is like another important thing. Like, get your aspect and get this going. It's a little bit of an investment, but it's worth it. You're going to get so many kills just from being at the right place at the right time. Mike Stone.
Mike Stone, the legend.
Yeah, he's got his own guild now.
What guild is he in now?
He created one.
Nice.
Let's see what he's using for a weapon these days.
What is he farming over there?
Oh, he's got Aver.
PK him.
All right, where were we?
Dungeons.
Okay, runes alphabetical, POI library, we got it. Call out terms, definitions. So we'll start with cut. We all know now what cut means. All hands, all available hands. That does not mean you have to stop what you're doing. If you're farming deep in a dungeon, we don't need you. You're going to get there, it's going to be over, and you're going to be salty because you just wasted your time. Stay in the dungeon. Unless it's a T8 all hands or a boss is getting raided. So if those two things are happening, then you got to leave the dungeon if you can. Or, you can just kind of hang out. No one's going to kill you for it. But we need as much help as possible when we're getting raided at bosses and T8s. So OMW, on my way. Oops. You all know that. On me. On me gets a bad rap. When you see someone spamming on me in ally chat, you find yourself probably wanting to make fun of them because nobody knows where the fuck that guy is. But on the contrary, what on me is, it's a very short and sweet way of saying stay on me if you see the character that's actually typing that in ally chat. So if you don't see that character in the game when they're doing that, then you can ignore that. But that call out is designed for grabbing the attention of everyone that's running in different directions looking in other places. Like say I'm tracking a hidden red, rather than stopping and typing out, hey, come over here, I have him. I type on me, enter, on me means if you see me, come to me. Because I am casting reveal and a red is about to pop up, or I'm tracking a red, they're over there. If you don't see the person that's saying on me, ignore it. It's not intended for you. And this is, if you're in voice, obviously that's not a problem, but who has time to jump in voice sometimes? Sometimes these callouts just are abrupt and nobody's organized and we're just running in. So ally chat is all we have sometimes. Kiting, if you hear someone in voice saying kite east, kite south, kite north, that basically means just run in that direction. We're trying to bait them, essentially. We're trying to pull them into a situation where we can decide where we're going to turn back and attack. So while we're kiting, we're making decisions. We're making sure everyone's on the same page. We're getting a plan. We're saying who we're going to attack, and then we're all going to turn around and attack simultaneously, and that person's going to die, more than likely. Witcher, if you see Witcher 188, for example, Witcher 5, Witcher 12, Witcher whatever, those are T-map zones, and every guild house should have a set. Ask your guild master where they are. DTF has a Witcher set right where I showed you. I don't think they have a Black Dragon, but very rarely do we get callouts for Black Dragon spots. But NKB has both. We went over how to cut. We went over when to cut. I mean, I don't even know why I put that there. When to cut. You cut when someone asks for it. If you see it in the journal like 10 minutes ago, you don't cut. How not to cut. Yeah, don't recall into the first gate. That's the common mistake because everyone just has that first gate rune in their books, right? I think after this lesson, that's one of the big things you guys are going to take away is the importance of having the entry and the first gate for cutting purposes. And even if, the red run past that first gate and you're chasing him, but he's still 5 tiles ahead of you, you can take that gate and meet him at the entry. So it's very, very useful. If you're cutting, just don't cut into the first gate. You can cut into the first gate if they're saying cut level 2 or cut level 3. Then you want to get there as soon as possible. When not to cut, I guess that would just be if you come into the cut and you see a bunch of reds coming your way and you know that there's nobody on them, then you're probably going to die instantly, which does happen. A lot of reds, they load up offensive spells on their way out of a dungeon and they're just waiting for that one person that's going to jump out in front of them. So with the rule I said before, where you never want to put yourself in the position of any group of mages that you have not seen what they have casted. You haven't seen them cast in the last 30 seconds or last 10 seconds. You haven't seen anything. All you see is them running at your way. You do not want anything to do with that. That's why you see people spreading out. As soon as they dump something on someone, then you are in the green light, essentially for the first 3 seconds. So do not keep running away when you see that. Well, you'll see them casting usually E-Bolt. Usually means they've casted and released an X-Blow already. So E-Bolt is usually a green light as long as you're not the target. Rezzing and restocking. Yeah, I mean, if you're at a call out and you die and you're running around chasing us while we're trying to kill reds, and you're essentially just trying to stay with us so when we're done fighting the reds you can get a res, not cool. I've been shadowed by ghosts for a solid 10 minutes before. I don't see like the purpose of it when you can literally restock and get back in 30 seconds and help out. Because if you die and we're still on the reds, they're most likely not going to loot you. One of us is going to loot your weapons, or your weapons are just going to go unlooted. But you getting a res is very, very unlikely. I mean, if you die and the reds are clearly way ahead and you died in the middle of a pack of you got like your allies, and you get res within like the first 10 seconds, sure. But if you're standing around and they run ahead, they're clearly busy, hit a ghost gate, go up to the shelf, restock, make a magic mushroom with your grimoire, get your mana halfway, and get ready to get back in there. Because it's not over. We still need help. We could use a cut. I mean, it's optional, guys. Like, we're not gonna curse at you if you just give up on a call out. I mean, take a ghost gate and take a break. Just don't go back in. But what we don't want to see is ghosts chasing us around during a call. It's not good. You're not doing anything with your time, and yeah, that's all. Restocking. Does anyone not have a shelf or access to a shelf? Edit current loadout. I mean, it's all basically, you got to customize what you think is going to be good for you. You just click edit current loadout, click the item you want and how much of that item you want to take every time you hit resupply. So say I am naked with no weapons, which I'll just act naked with no weapons. I essentially can run up in here, left click, resupply. I'm getting my whole counters filled, right? I can see that. They're in that trap bag. My weapons will automatically come in. My weapons are not selected on the resupply for my restock because I use special weapons and it's always changing. Sometimes I use Val, sometimes I use Averate, sometimes I use Vank. So my weapons aren't included, but if you're usually just using exceptional weapons, you can include that on your loadout and it will equip a weapon for you right away. As soon as you hit resupply, give you your 2 other weapons in your backpack. And best of all, if you have armor in your loadout, go over here, a couple armor pieces checked, it will automatically equip the armor onto you, not put it in your bag, if you have that armor slot available. So essentially from naked, you can come in here and click resupply, and you're already ready to go. Instantly. And then you just simply open up your room book, and you're good to go wherever if you want to go back in. Like I said, it's optional. No one's gonna ever put you down for only trying once. I mean, once is enough for a lot of people, and I completely understand it. But if you're eager to go back there and get some redemption, it's not going to come in ways of rezzing, like on the field. Okay, enough of that. Edit loadout. All right, so now we're on the advanced PvP part, which is actually pretty short. I don't want to get into like too much advanced stuff because all the advanced stuff is just movement and muscle memory. Like that's just going to come with it. So the first thing is breaking. As a mage, you just always have to break your target as soon as you see them. That doesn't mean it's the first spell that you cast. Like I said, telekinesis should be your first spell because you can set them as that telekinesis target. Ideally, you don't want to throw the potion right away anyways because you want them to forget that they're telekinesis. If you telekinesis them and throw the potion, there's no surprise and they're just going to run from you until that damage passes and then they're going to heal pot it. But if you telekinesis and then within that 20 seconds, you're able to get a big hit and a hammy and they can't move, and then you throw the explosion pot, all of a sudden they have an added effect onto an already bad situation, and you're still interrupting their heal, and you're still using your interrupt weapon. It's a very bad situation that they forgot about. But I'm moving off topic. That's why you want to open up with telekinesis. The second spell you cast should be a magic arrow. Just to make sure, it takes 1 second just to make sure that that reflect is down. Even if you can't cast a spell, if you're out of mana, you're opening it, opportunity for other mages that come in. So yeah, you just want to break as much as possible if you can magic arrow. Now, we already went over the melee and spell burst, equipping a weapon with a large damage spell. Pet Destroyer Hockey, a good one for you Dexers. I hope a lot of you Dexers are still here. We've been leaving you guys out a lot. Dexers are basic. I mean, they're still complicated. They're the most powerful PvP build, but they're the easiest to use with the least amount of hotkeys as well. But one thing you guys really need to see here, and this is actually something you're not going to see in a lot of other classes or anything, is the Pet Destroyer Hotkey. Now, ignore that. Pet Destroyer Hotkey. You create it, Mind's Escape, select nearest creature, hostile, attack selected target. So basically from nothing, all you're going to have is this one drop down, and you're going to go to select nearest creature, and then this is going to appear, and then you'll be able to select hostile. This box won't be here yet. You'd have to click add to add a new box, which is another action in your macro. This has to be in UO in-game options, by the way. This can't be done in Razor. I don't recommend making this Razor because it's going to change your targets, and you don't want to do damage. You don't want to be setting a pet as your last target in Razor. So you want to keep those two targetings different. So this is not going to affect your Razor hotkeys at all. So what this is going to do is if I go up to a tamer and their pets, and I'm in between them and their pets, all I have to do is hit escape, and I'm going to automatically start attacking the nearest pet to me. So what does that do? Well, I'm a poisoner, so I'm going to poison their pet, and then I go next to their to another pet, and I hit that button again, and I just poison two pets. So now they have lethal or deadly poison on their pets, and they're going to be dead in literally no time. And I'm able to quickly switch back to him with my Razor hotkeys and deal damage onto him while his pets are poisoned. Now, something I'm actually working on as we speak is creating a hotkey for this to work like this, but for the dispel, spell. I haven't figured it out yet, but stay tuned. I'm working on it. I want to be able to one key dispel people's summons. Those reds are running around with earth elementals. They depend on them solely. Like if that earth elemental is gone, for those reds running around in SSC pulling mobs everywhere, they're gone. Like they're not going to last running around in SSC without any summons. And it costs a lot of mana to create a summon. So if you dispel it, they're kind of fucked. So not enough people are doing that, but it's tough because it asks you, it gives you like, no, it doesn't ask you, does it? No, it doesn't ask you. I don't know. I got to figure it out. I'm still working on that, and just within these last few days. But for now, I have Dispel as shift and the number 1. And then I just target nearest monster and cast it.